Chapter 1003. Yi Tianyun and Murong Zhao's appearance attracted a lot of people's attention, especially the contestants who arrived here before. They all looked at them. Junior Marshal Sister Rong, who is he? At this time, a handsome youth appeared in front of them. He was dressed in white and had a long sword on his back. He looked very immortal. He was Murong Zhao's pursuer, Ling Yunfeng. People usually called him Young Master Ling, and Yu Qingling had a good impression of him. However, Ling Yunfeng only liked Murong Zhao, and she had no chance at all. Don't call me Rong, we aren't that close. Murong Zhao frowned. She felt very uncomfortable with Ling Yunfeng calling her that. Junior Marshal Sister Rong, you are messing around again. We are from the same sect. Ling Yunfeng was full of helplessness. He looked at her and said with dissatisfaction, I have been looking for you for so long down there, but I couldn't find you. So you were with someone else. No wonder I couldn't find you. Friend, how should I address you? Ling Yunfeng didn't start scolding right away. Instead, he cupped his hands and was very polite. Yi Tianyun sized him up. He looked like a handsome man, and his cultivation wasn't low either. They were both 7th refinement Earth monarchs. In this place, 5th or 6th refinement Earth monarchs and above were too common. If one didn't have 6th or 7th refinement Earth monarchs, they would be embarrassed to greet him. Heavenly Cloud Earth Monarch. Yi Tianyun didn't hide and introduced himself. Heavenly Cloud Earth Monarch. Ling Yunfeng's eyes shot out a ray of light. He sized him up and said in shock, I was just about to say what Heavenly Cloud Earth Monarch is like. I didn't expect him to be so young. I believe that Junior Marshal Sister Rong, was able to reach here mainly because of Heavenly Cloud Earth Monarch. That is her own ability, and it has nothing to do with me. Yi Tianyun was a little confused. Logically speaking, shouldn't the other party treat him as a love rival? Why wasn't he angry? His temper was still so good. No matter what, I am shocked to see her in person. To tell you the truth, Earth Lord Tianyun, I want to be her Tao companion, and I hope Earth Lord Tianyun can fulfill my wish. Ling Yunfeng was very straightforward and very respectful. Yi Tianyun almost vomited blood. This was the first time he had seen someone dissuade someone with such etiquette. It was not a fist fight, but a dissuasion filled with etiquette. Senior brother Ling, I will never become Tao companions with you. Murong Zhao was furious. She pointed at him and said, You're not my type. You're so inflexible, just like a stubborn old man. Your Ling family has nurtured you into a genius, but in other aspects, you are simply too lacking. How could that be? Didn't Junior Sister Rong, say that as long as my talent and cultivation surpass yours, I can become your Tao companion? Ling Yunfeng frowned and said doubtfully, I should be able to do it. Furthermore, I'm preparing to break through to the 8th refinement Earth Monarch. I should be able to meet Junior Sister Ronger's standards, right? You are so unreasonable. I don't even like you. It's useless if you meet my requirements. Murong Zhao was about to explode. You don't like me? Then after we become Tao companions, you will slowly fall in love with me. I'll bring you to a good place to cultivate, give you all my treasures, and go into seclusion with you. Yi Tianyun was on the verge of cramping up. This guy's EQ was too low. It was as if his head had been kicked by a donkey. What was even more frightening was that when he said it out calmly, he did not even know what it meant to refuse, what it meant to be humiliated, just give up. I'm already with Big Brother Tianyun. You should just give up. Murong Zhao grabbed Yi Tianyun's arm and transmitted his voice to him, Brother Tianyun, you must help me. If I become Tao companions with this guy, I will definitely go crazy. It's not interesting at all, just like those teachers. Ling Yunfeng was startled. He looked at Yi Tianyun and bowed, I hope Earth Lord Tianyun can fulfill my wish. My father said that Junior Marshal Sister Rong and I are the most suitable. If Earth Lord Tianyun chooses to give up, I am willing to give you the best treasures. I hope Earth Lord Tianyun will give up. What a gentleman. Yi Tianyun looked at him and did not know what to say. Everything was too polite. He did not get angry, nor did he use vulgar words. He was completely like a gentleman, speaking of his needs. It felt like he would say, "Please don't hit me," after slapping him. What if I say no? Yi Tianyun thought for a while and chose to persuade him. If you don't agree, I can only work harder to defeat you with greater strength and win Junior Marshal Sister Rong-er's heart. If I steal Junior Marshal Sister Rong-er, I hope Earth Lord Tianyun won't blame me. Ling Yunfeng still did not get angry, nor did he provoke him. He just wanted to steal Junior Marshal Sister Rong-er in front of Yi Tianyun. Yi Tianyun did not know what to say. This was definitely the first time he met such a weirdo. If it was someone else, he would have pointed at his nose and scolded him, or if he did not leave Murong Shao, he would die without a burial place. Ling Yunfeng did not act like this at all. He maintained his gentlemanly demeanor from the beginning to the end. It was just that in his opinion, the more violent ones were better, see? I wonder if this guy is stupid. His brain is made of rotten wood. He can't understand anything. I wonder if his family has instilled too many things into his head. He doesn't have any opinions. Murong Shao said helplessly. No opinions? Yi Tianyun was confused. Yes, he definitely doesn't like me. He listens to his family. No matter what he does, he follows their orders. Murong Shao was very helpless. Such a weirdo exists. Yi Tianyun was speechless. You are Earth Lord Tianyun. At this time, a man walked over and looked him up and down with cold eyes full of fighting spirit. What's the problem? Yi Tianyun looked at him. You don't look like much. You are a human. How could your divine War Thunder Drum reach the 9th rank? Earth Lord Cloud Thunder looked at him coldly. I highly suspect that you cheated. Otherwise, how could a mere human reach this level? Earth Lord Cloud Thunder was ranked 2nd. He was suddenly pushed down to 3rd place. In fact, 3rd place was already very good, but he could not believe that a human was riding on top of them. This was unacceptable. Yi Tianyun looked at him up and down, then shrugged his shoulders and said, "This is finally a normal guy, look at him, this is a normal guy, okay?" Ling Yunfeng looked at Earth Lord Cloud Thunder in confusion. He did not understand what Yi Tianyun meant. Chapter 1004. Hearing Yi Tianyun's question, Earth Lord Cloud Thunder was stunned. How did he cheat? It couldn't be 2 people attacking each other. It could only be 1 person attacking. If 2 people attacked each other, it would be against the rules, and they would be immediately identified. At that time, they would be considered to have failed. You must have cheated. Earth Lord Cloud Thunder was at a loss for words and didn't know how to refute. In his opinion, the human race must have cheated to be able to climb to such a high peak. Not only Earth Lord Cloud Thunder, but the other contestants also thought so. There were so many contestants present, but only Yi Tianyun was a human. It was enough to show how weak the human race was. It was impossible for them to reach this level. Oh, if I really cheated, are you doubting the rule formation set up by the God Realms? Do you think their rules are so weak that I can easily break them by cheating? Yi Tianyun looked at Earth Lord Cloud Thunder mockingly and said with a smile, "It seems that I'm so strong that I can break their rules and easily reach the 9th rank. Is it because I'm too strong, or because the seniors are too useless?" Yi Tianyun slammed a hat on Earth Lord Cloud Thunder's head. If Earth Lord Cloud Thunder admitted it, it would mean that the rules set up by several powerful figures of the God Realms had been broken by a single human. So many people couldn't break it, but he could. Wouldn't that mean that the powerful figures of the God Realms were useless? Earth Lord Cloud Thunder's face turned pale. He had never thought about this at all. He just kept accusing Yi Tianyun of cheating to achieve his results. Now that Yi Tianyun had turned the tables on him, he was so embarrassed that he didn't know what to say. The other contestants originally wanted to interject, but now they didn't know what to say. If they said that Lee Tianyun had cheated, then they would be saying that the seniors were too weak. But if they didn't say anything, wouldn't that mean that Lee Tianyun really had such strength? This kid is really eloquent. He can infer many things from one instance. The Heavenly Mandate Region Lord smiled. He was very appreciative of Lee Tianyun's words. It was best not to get angry. That was the most important thing. There was no point in getting angry here. The key was that they could not fight, so there was nothing to get angry about. It would affect the mood of the competition. That's true. This brat is very clever. He won't be at a disadvantage. Nyen Xiu also laughed. They didn't continue to say anything. The stage was theirs, and the rest of the audience couldn't interfere. They couldn't even get off the stage. They could only watch from above. Even if their own disciples were prepared to die, they still couldn't go down. If they wanted to save him, there would be others who would save him. As for the others, they absolutely could not interfere. Once they did so, they would be disqualified from the entire God domain. Otherwise, if someone were to rush down to save his disciple when his disciple was about to die, it would be against the rules. This kind of situation absolutely could not happen, so whoever did that would be kicked out. Moreover, this competition was not inhumane. As long as the other party surrendered, they could not continue fighting. If he stubbornly refused to surrender, what else could he do? Earth Monarch Cloud Thunder snorted and said coldly, "I don't care what you do, but I hope you don't run into me." After saying that, Earth Monarch Cloud Thunder waved his hand and walked to the side. He didn't want to stay here any longer. He didn't want Lee Tianyun to say anything else. If he were to put a big hat on him, he would be in trouble. Earth Monarch Cloud Thunder, "I'm sorry, but he's already mine," Ling Yunfeng suddenly said. Earth Monarch Cloud Thunder turned his head and looked at him like he was an idiot. Then, he shook his head. What a retard. I can't be bothered to talk to you. Lee Tianyun shrugged his shoulders, feeling very helpless. The rest of the contestants glanced over, but they didn't say anything. Among them, there was a substantial gaze that stared at him. Lee Tianyun followed the gaze. The first thing that came into view was an extremely beautiful woman. She was dressed in red, and there were several flames floating around her body. The scorching heat waves spread out in all directions. She sized up Lee Tianyun for a moment. Her eyes were very indifferent and somewhat empty, as if she didn't care about anything. Or in other words, everything was meaningless to her. Then, she closed her eyes again. She didn't say a word, nor did she do anything. The other contestants didn't approach her. They were even a little afraid of her. Heavenly Pillar. Lee Tianyun was stunned. The opponent's name appeared in front of him with the appraisal eye. He didn't expect the first one to be a woman. This was really beyond his expectation. He thought it would be an overbearing strong man, but it turned out to be a woman. That's right. She's Heavenly Pillar, the terrifying woman ranked below you. Murong Xiao shook his head. His eyes were full of fear. She controls a kind of holy fire that can burn the heaven and earth. Her cultivation has reached the level of the 8th refinement Earth Lord. Rumor has it that she almost broke through to the level of the 9th refinement Earth Lord. Holy fire. Lee Tianyun squinted at Heavenly Pillar. Such a masculine name, but she's a woman. Of course, this was just a title. No one knew her real name. In the deity realm, the rarity of flames was divided into two categories, demonic fire and holy fire. There were only 5 kinds of holy fire. Needless to say, the power of these flames was above all the other demonic fires. Having a holy fire was like adding wings to a tiger. However, it was extremely difficult to subdue a holy fire. No one knew how Heavenly Pillar did it. It's a bit strange. Lee Tianyun looked at Heavenly Pillar up and down. Even with the appraisal eye, the data presented was very limited. He had a special feeling that Heavenly Pillar was very terrifying. There seemed to be a special energy in her body. As for how powerful it was not easy to say. He felt that the other contestants were not even half as powerful as her, or even less. Her terrifying power was far beyond the reach of others. Of course, there were still many contestants who hadn't arrived yet. As for whether the others were strong or not, they would have to wait and see. Immediately, they found a place to meditate and recover, waiting for the start of the second round. Time passed quickly. In the blink of an eye, it was almost the end. The time provided for the first round was not long, only 1 month. Those who couldn't reach the finish line in 1 month would be judged to be eliminated. 1 month is up. Those who haven't reached the finish line will have their previous results nullified. They will be eliminated at the same time. At this time, a deacon announced on the side. His voice spread out and eventually spread to the entire godly war continent. Those who didn't reach the finish line were teleported out. When Yi Tianyun opened his eyes, he saw a lot of contestants, a lot more than when he first came up. Among them, Yu Qingling and the others had come up, proving that they had some strength. Chapter 1005. Yi Tianyun glanced around. There were less than 1,000 people left on the ground. From the initial hundreds of thousands of participants, there were less than 1,000 people left. It was enough to show how terrifying the difficulty was. More than half of them had been eliminated in the initial slaughter. It had to be said that it was too cruel. Any one of them would be a godlike existence in Fan Yu. Here, they were like cabbages that could be found in large bunches. Elimination was very common. This was the survival of the fittest. Even Earth monarchs would be divided into good and bad. There were 2 or 3 refinement Earth monarchs present. This proved that their cultivation wasn't high, but it didn't mean that they were weak. Cultivation was just a superficial estimate. As for how strong they were, it would be known when they fought. What a cruel competition. Yi Tianyun shook his head. If they wanted to ascend to the heavens, they had to trample on a large number of opponents. A pile of losers was their stepping stone, a pile of stepping stones to the top. Yes, it is indeed cruel. Murong Xiao nodded. He had a deep feeling about this place. If they were slightly weaker, they would also be reduced to stepping stones. Great waves wash away sand. Whether one can stand firm here or not depends on one's own strength. Ling Yunfeng opened his eyes and said slowly. What are you doing here? Hurry up and leave. Murong Xiao felt that he was an eyesore. He was here to make trouble. At this moment, a familiar person walked over and hugged Ling Yunfeng's arm. She said in a sweet voice, Young Master Ling, why don't you come with me? It's really unlucky to stay here. The person who came over was Yu Qingling. She hugged Ling Yunfeng as soon as she arrived. She was really bold. Ling Yunfeng frowned. He shook his arm and broke free. Lady Yu, men and women should not touch each other. Please don't do this. Ling Yunfeng had a righteous expression. He wasn't moved by these things at all. Yu Qingling's charm skills were obviously not bad, but it was useless against him. It made her go crazy. Oh right, young Master Ling and the 2 of them are already together. Previously, I even saw the 2 of them kissing each other. Maybe they've already done it. Yu Qingling covered her mouth and chuckled lightly. She even said some slanderous words. Nonsense. Murong Xiao was about to explode in anger. She had teamed up with Yi Tianyun, yet she was being slandered like this. Yu Qingling wanted to see anger on Ling Yunfeng's face, but she was quickly disappointed. Ling Yunfeng was not disappointed or angry at all, and he maintained a calm expression. I will snatch junior sister Rong heir from the hands of Earth Monarch Tianyun. Ling Yunfeng said in a serious manner. On the side, Yi Tianyun almost vomited blood. He also thought that Yu Qingling's slander would attract hatred for him. Obviously, he was thinking too much. Ling Yunfeng didn't care about this kind of thing at all. Yu Qingling was also speechless. Her beautiful eyes were filled with displeasure as she looked at Ling Yunfeng. There was no way to change this rotten wood. Ahem, Brother Ling, do you really like Miss Mu? Tianyun asked seriously, is it your family that ordered you to do this, or do you really like Miss Mu, that's why you did this? This. Ling Yunfeng frowned and thought about it carefully. Actually, my family told me to do this. They said that it would help with my cultivation. So you're saying that you don't like Miss Mu at all? That's why you became Dao companions with her? Tianyun continued to ask. That's right. Ling Yunfeng answered truthfully, but junior sister Rong Er is still very good. She's kind, so there's nothing bad about becoming Dao companions. Brother Ling, tell me the truth. Did you listen to your family's orders to pursue Miss Mu for the sake of cultivation? Tianyun asked again. That's right. It's because of this that I decided to pursue junior sister Rong Er. Ling Yunfeng replied in a serious manner. A cultivation maniac. Murong Xiao was speechless. He was just a cultivation tool. Ahem, Brother Ling, listen to me. Even if you become Dao companions with Miss Mu, it won't help your cultivation much. Her body doesn't really suit you. You need someone with the ice attribute. That would suit you better, Tianyun suggested. But my family asked me to. Ling Yunfeng was conflicted. You don't have to care about them. Deep down, you just want to achieve Dao. You don't want to care about anything else, right? Tianyun already knew what was going on. Yes. Ling Yunfeng shook his head. I really don't want to care about anything else. Obviously, lust was bullshit. He was a cultivation maniac who only wanted to achieve Dao. Come here, I have an idea. Tianyun pulled Ling Yunfeng over and whispered a bunch of things to him. Ling Yunfeng's eyes lit up. Okay, I'll listen to Brother Yi. Actually, I've been very troubled. If I become Dao companions with junior sister Rong Er, I won't have time to cultivate. Now that I've heard Brother Yi's words, I'm really enlightened. Ling Yunfeng smiled and came in front of Murong Xiao. Junior sister Rong Er, I won't become Dao companions with you. I actually don't have much interest in you. I just want to achieve Dao. Murong Xiao's face twitched. She had always wanted to get rid of him. Now that Ling Yunfeng said that, it was like a slap to her face. After saying that, Ling Yunfeng turned around and left. He returned to his Ling family's camp. Yu Qingling was dumbfounded. She thought that she could create some conflict. Who knew that it wouldn't be of any use? Idiot, no woman will like him in this life. Yu Qingling glared at Murong Xiao fiercely, turned around and left. It's settled. Now that Ling Yunfeng won't pester you anymore, right? Tianyun laughed. Tell me, how should you thank me? He didn't expect the matter to be resolved so quickly. He originally thought that it was an enemy, but who knew that it was a cultivation maniac with a pure heart that only wanted to cultivate. This. Quickly tell me, what exactly did you say to him? He immediately chose to give up on me. Murong Xiao was extremely shocked. She had rejected him many times, but none of them succeeded. It's very simple. I told him that the family wanted him to marry you because they wanted him to raise his cultivation. In fact, it didn't have much effect, so I told him to participate in the competition properly. After the competition, he would find a place to cultivate in seclusion and break through to the 8 or 9 refinement Earth Lord. Tianyun explained. What do you mean by that? Murong Xiao was dumbfounded. The best way to deal with this kind of cultivation maniac is to let them continue cultivating. That way, they won't have time to care about you. Tianyun shrugged his shoulders. Murong Xiao rolled her eyes. I don't believe it, how could it be that simple? Chapter 1006. Many participants stayed in the deity battle arena to recover and wait for the next round to begin. For this reason, they all took various medicinal pills to heal their injuries and quickly recovered. It didn't take long for an uproar to come from the front. The first to appear were 5 peak experts. They tore the space in the air and sat directly on the highest seats. As soon as they sat down, a majestic aura was released and spread around. Under this majestic aura, the audience immediately quieted down. These 5 are the representatives of the divine realm battle to heaven. They are the elders. They are not the real owners of the divine realm. They don't need to be there in person. The divine realm battle to heaven is not a big deal for them. It is just a normal selection of disciples. There is no need to come in person. It is already quite amazing that they came in person. All 5 of them are divine monarch cultivators. There is a difference in their cultivation. However, just by sitting there, they already made everyone feel pressured. This is the power of divine monarch. Tianyun looked up. The appraisal eye can't show the combat power. At most it can show how high the cultivation is. Nothing else can be seen. Obviously, the current stage of the appraisal eye can only see the cultivation level below divine monarch. Upgrade appraisal eye. Without hesitation, Tianyun immediately chose to upgrade appraisal eye. This is very important data. He must upgrade it. Ding! Successfully deducted 50 million crazy points. Upgrade appraisal eye to level 5. The next level requires 5 billion crazy points. Appraisal eye, start to upgrade data. After upgrading the data, Tianyun looked over there, and the new data appeared in front of him. Divine Wrath Elder, 5th level divine monarch, has the power of heavenly thunder, can release terrible heavenly thunder to destroy heaven and earth. The heavenly thunder divine power in the body can also turn oneself into an immortal body, can resist terrible power. Weakness, no obvious weakness. Comprehensive combat power, 9, 7 million star power. East Dragon Elder, 6th level divine monarch, has a very strong East Dragon bloodline, can turn into a huge East Dragon, spit out destructive energy bomb, has terrible defense, can resist all attacks. Weakness, extreme metal attack, can break defense. Overall combat power was 11. 3 million star power. Elder G Fan, level 5 divine lord. He has the power of destruction and can destroy everything he sees. Weakness, extreme life force, able to resist the power of destruction. Overall combat power was 10. 3 million points of star power. Elder Lu Yu, at the 5th level divine lord level, he possesses a vast power of earth. He can easily overturn mountains and seas and can stack up a world. Weakness, power of wood, can be countered. Overall combat power was 9. 5 million points of star power. Elder Go Huang, 6th level divine monarch. He possesses the power of divine gold and is indestructible. He can pierce through a giant planet with a flip of his hand. Weakness, power of fire. Overall combat power was 12. 5 million star power. The information of the 5 elders appeared in front of him, including the things they were wearing. It was just that Tianyun had filtered out their equipment. He was simply observing their combat abilities. Each of them had reached 10 million points of star power, and that was just ordinary power. If they were to burst out, it would be tens of millions of star power points. The cultivation of a divine lord is indeed terrifying. Tianyun looked at the data on their bodies. No wonder a divine monarch expert could crush a large number of experts. This could easily crush any first-grade region lord. And this was just one elder. The other divine lords hadn't appeared yet. If it was their overall strength, it would definitely be shocking. A few divine lords would be able to crush all the low-level powerhouses. As soon as the 5 of them appeared, the powerhouses sitting at the side all stood up. Greetings, lords. A deafening voice sounded. All of them looked at the powerhouses above them respectfully. How could they not be respectful when facing powerhouses? The 5 elders nodded in satisfaction. Powerhouses from their own camp also appeared behind them. All of them were at the level of the Lord of Heaven. Soon, the seats at the back were filled. There were at least 34 people, and each of them had brought 5 or 6 subordinates. It's time again. We've seen your situation. The current situation is somewhat out of our expectations. This time, there's someone in the Divine Thunder Drum area who achieved a 9th grade level. He's also the only one who has reached this level. This result hasn't appeared for a long time. The one who spoke was Elder Go Huang. He was in the middle. Without a doubt, his position was the highest. The god territory he belonged to was definitely the strongest. Otherwise, he wouldn't be the leader. Yi Tianyun's eyes lit up. He immediately grasped these words. It had appeared in the past, but it hadn't appeared recently. There were indeed many crouching tigers and hidden dragons. This performance was not bad for them. But it wasn't a pleasant surprise. The 5 of them were expressionless. They didn't show any special appreciation. Next, prepare for the second round of the competition. Before that, according to the previous rules, the first round will begin. Before that, according to the previous rules, those who reach a certain standard will receive the corresponding reward. Elder Go Huang swept his gaze across the contestants. With a wave of his hand, a huge temple descended from the sky and landed heavily on the empty ground. Boom! The temple landed heavily on the ground, stirring up a cloud of dust. Those who reach the standard will receive the corresponding reward. You can go in and exchange the token. However, it doesn't include the token obtained from the Divine Thunder Drum. Additional tokens can be exchanged in the temple. Elder Go Huang gestured for them to enter. Elder Go Huang's intention was clear. He wanted to focus on the number of tokens and not on the Divine Thunder Drum. In this way, Yi Tianyun only had a few hundred tokens. Of course, this was already the highest reward. The token obtained from the Divine Thunder Drum could be exchanged in the temple. As soon as he finished his words, groups of people rushed in. Yi Tianyun followed them in. After entering, he saw a dazzling array of treasures. Of course, the highest grade was the high-grade reincarnation level treasures. There were many of them here and they filled up rows after rows. However, the price was even more shocking. If one didn't meet the initial conditions, he would need at least 1,000 tokens. The better ones would need at least a few thousand tokens. Among the contestants, there were less than a dozen of them who could meet the initial conditions. After all, those who could obtain around 200 tokens were the minority. Some of them only had dozens or 100 tokens. Chapter 1007. High-grade reincarnation grade treasures can be found everywhere here. Yi Tianyun shook his head. This was the strength of a grade 2 god realm. Treasures that were rarely seen in grade 1 god realms could be found everywhere here. Of course, they were expensive. Unless one obtained a good result on the Divine Battle Thunder Drum, it would be difficult to exchange for a good weapon here. In his opinion, there were less than 50 people who could exchange for high-grade reincarnation grade treasures. Of course, there might be even fewer of them. Not everyone could achieve excellent results. Here, a high-grade reincarnation grade treasure or martial technique would require more than 1,000 tokens. This meant that one had to obtain at least 3 results of grade 6 or 7. Combined with the tokens they had obtained previously, only then could they meet the standard. As for better treasures, they would need to obtain at least a few results of grade 8 and above. Or they could snatch tokens from thousands of people. That way, they could also exchange. It was difficult for one person to snatch a few thousand tokens. The main reason was that there were too many scattered cultivators, so it was not easy to find them. Of course, if one could snatch more than 200 tokens from the start, they could directly choose one. Under such circumstances, the number of people who met the standard increased, but it would definitely not exceed 100. Without hesitation, Yi Tianyun headed towards the high-grade reincarnation grade treasures area. He had met the standard, so he would definitely choose this area. Even if he did not meet the standard, the 7,000 tokens he obtained from the Divine Battle Thunder Drum were enough to exchange for more high-grade reincarnation grade treasures. I just happen to lack some special treasures. Yi Tianyun quickly set his sights on a treasure that caught his eye, the Sanskrit divine brush. Right now, he needed to improve his divine inscriber skills. He wanted to transform the 3 realms and strengthen his equipment. The divine inscriptions he had learned previously had no effect on the equipment he obtained from the lottery draw. Not every equipment could be engraved with divine inscriptions. Otherwise, his equipment would have long exploded. When he reached the God realm, the divine inscriptions here could be engraved on his equipment. For example, it could be engraved on the ancient desolate equipment set or the evil devil divine equipment set. As for how effective it would be, he would only know after engraving it. Just as he was about to pick up the Sanskrit divine brush, a domineering voice rang in his ears. Put down the divine Sanskrit brush. Yi Tianyun turned his head and saw a contestant with snake eyes walking towards him. His entire body was shrouded in evil energy, especially his snake eyes, which looked extremely evil. She stared at him as if she was staring at a prey. Yi Tianyun couldn't be bothered with him. He used the first 190 tokens to exchange for the superior grade reincarnation grade treasure. This meant that he no longer had the chance to exchange for the treasures. The remaining treasures would have to be exchanged at the original price. Of course, this thing was very useful to him, so he naturally wouldn't let it go. Are you ignoring my words? Demon Eye Earth Monarch charged in front of him. He glared at him and roared, "Take it out, I have my eyes on it." So what if you like it? As long as it's not in your hands first, then it's my choice. Yi Tianyun retorted mercilessly. You! Demon Eye Earth Monarch really wanted to attack Yi Tianyun, but he didn't dare to. It was forbidden to attack here. Once he did, he would be disqualified from the competition. If there's nothing else, please make way. Don't stop me from choosing other treasures. Yi Tianyun naturally wouldn't only choose one treasure. The greatest use of these tokens was to exchange for treasures. It could be said that these were the rewards given by the elders. Even if they couldn't pass the later stages, just the treasures exchanged here were enough for them to make good use of when they returned. They would strive to be able to participate again in the next competition. You human brat, you refuse a toast only to drink a forfeit. Don't think that you're the strongest just because you got the first token. If we use all our strength, do you think we can't get a rank 9? Demon Eye Earth Monarch's tone was full of disdain, as if they could get a rank 9 if they wanted to. Their argument attracted the attention of the surrounding contestants, but they all agreed with Demon Eye Earth Monarch's words. If they really wanted to go all out, a rank 9 was not a problem, but it would expose their strength, and that was not worth it. They hadn't seen Yi Tianyun's performance before, so they unanimously thought that Yi Tianyun used all his strength and went all out to get this result. To them, going all out to get this result was not very strong. They had all heard of Yi Tianyun's situation. After all, some people saw Yi Tianyun's performance and thought that he used all his strength, so they could roughly estimate his strength level. Oh, that's your business. If you can't get it, then you can't. Don't talk to me about other things. Yi Tianyun looked at him coldly and said, "Get out of my way, you're blocking me from choosing treasures. If you don't move, I'll tell the seniors that you're obstructing me." Demon Eye Earth Monarch's gaze was icy to the extreme, and the guards at the gate were alarmed, wanting to come over to investigate. Good. Just you wait, when the time comes, you'll know that you're a frog at the bottom of a well. You think that you can be complacent just because you got some results, but you're actually a fart. I hope you don't meet me, or else you'll know that participating in this competition is a mistake. Demon Eye Earth Monarch could only move aside obediently, so that Yi Tianyun could walk out from here. If those guards were alarmed, he would have to bear the consequences. Is that so? Then I'd like to see how you're going to make me a frog at the bottom of a well. Yi Tianyun smiled faintly, not taking it to heart at all, and turned around to choose treasures in other areas. Demon Eye Earth Monarch gritted his teeth and looked at him. He couldn't fight here, so he could only turn around to choose treasures. The other contestants shook their heads, feeling that Yi Tianyun was really courting death. He had just arrived, and immediately provoked so many opponents. Not only Earth Monarch Lei Yun, but also Demon Eye Earth Monarch. Wasn't he courting death? Brother Yi, are you alright? That demon Eye Earth Monarch is ranked in the top 8, and I heard that he's very powerful. Ling Yunfeng came over and asked. If that's the case, if I give the treasure to him, will he admit defeat when he meets me? Yi Tianyun asked. I don't think that'll happen. Ling Yunfeng said. Isn't that right? Since he won't let me go, why should I give it to him? Yi Tianyun shrugged his shoulders and said, in this life, I've had many enemies, but every one of them has become a skeleton for me to succeed, and he's no exception. Ling Yunfeng looked at Yi Tianyun in shock. He didn't expect Yi Tianyun to say such domineering words. Chapter 1008. Ling Yunfeng admired Yi Tianyun's courage and insight. If it was him, he wouldn't have dared to do so. After all, after provoking the other party, as soon as the battle started, Ling Yunfeng didn't hesitate to attack with all his strength and wouldn't stop until he killed the other party. Just this point alone was enough to scare people. Ling Yunfeng knew his own strength, so he wouldn't casually provoke others. Coward. At this moment, Murong Xiao stood out and glanced at Ling Yunfeng. Big brother Tianyun will definitely win. If he loses to the other party in terms of momentum, then he will really lose. Murong Xiao had always been fearless, even when she was besieged and poisoned. She didn't want to admit defeat and even killed several people consecutively. This boldness already explained a lot. Although she was the daughter of a clan, she didn't have that kind of situation. When it was time to kill, she was still ruthless. It was just that she was too kind, otherwise she wouldn't have been poisoned. Because she was kind, as long as the other party surrendered, she would let the other party go. Who knew that the other party would use poison, otherwise she wouldn't have been poisoned. After being scolded by Murong Xiao, Ling Yunfeng pondered for a while and said, Junior sister Rong, is right. This is because my Tao heart isn't stable enough. I will strengthen it in the future. Ling Yunfeng was quite modest. If it was someone else, they would have already been angry, but he still maintained a calm state of mind. This made Yi Tianyun feel very praiseworthy. He felt that Ling Yunfeng would definitely achieve great things in the future. Just this calm state of mind alone was already better than many people. Immediately after, Yi Tianyun continued to choose treasures. He chose a high-grade reincarnation-grade alchemy furnace in one go, and he also chose some divine seal carving methods. 7,000 tokens were used up in the blink of an eye. It wasn't easy to earn them, but it was too easy to spend them. After he finished choosing, most of the others had also finished choosing. Some didn't have so many tokens, so they didn't need to consider for too long. They could come out immediately. Some could only choose some elixir pills, and they could only come out obediently. Yi Tianyun, on the other hand, was quite satisfied with the amount he exchanged. As soon as he came out, he felt the venomous gaze of the demon Eye Earth Monarch staring at him. His eyes were filled with dense killing intent, as though he wanted to chop him into two. Yi Tianyun couldn't be bothered with him. He lifted his foot and walked forward, arriving at his faction's area. There were contestants from their faction here, but there were only a few of them left. From the initial few hundred, there were less than 10. Yi Tianyun and Murong Xiao were included, and Sikong Ma and Yuan Tianyu, as well as some talented core disciples. It was not only the heavenly mandate divine realm that was the case, it was the same for the other divine realms. Most of them had been eliminated. Of course, there were some divine realms that were an exception. There were a few divine realms that had a considerable number of disciples remaining, at most 40 to 50. It had to be said that these divine realms were strong enough, otherwise, there would not be so many left. Yi Tianyun recognized a few of these powerful divine realms. They were Earth Lord Tianqing and Earth Lord Yunlei, as well as the Demon Eye Earth Monarch. The three of them were in extremely strong camps, and the remaining people could account for half of the total number of people. It was enough to show that these three camps were the strongest. The rest were scattered, and there was not even one of them. At this time, Yi Tianyun turned his eyes to one of them. He stared at him. The aura of the evil spirit clan. He felt that the black-robed contestant not far away actually had the aura of the evil spirit clan, but he was not very sure. When he took out the essence blood of the evil spirit clan from the storage ring, there was no reaction at all. Is it not the evil spirit clan? Tianyun looked him up and down. At the same time, he opened the appraisal eye, trying to see through the true nature of the other party. Earth Lord Special Gu, Earth Lord of the 7th Refinement, has the bloodline of the evil spirit clan, very thin. It was very simple and clear information. He did not need to read the rest of the information. It was enough to know the first sentence. This Earth Lord Special Gu was really from the evil spirit clan, or rather, he had the bloodline of the evil spirit clan. He did not expect the evil spirit clan to sneak in, but it was hard to say whether it was sent by the evil spirit clan. In short, he was the only one in the camp that Earth Lord Special Gu was in. According to the rankings, Earth Lord Special Ge's ranking was not very high. He was only in the 80s. This ranking was not bad, but it was definitely not eye-catching. It did not match his cultivation. He had already reached the Earth Lord of the 7th Refinement. How could he be weak? In Tianyun's opinion, he should be at least in the 30s. This was more reasonable. Either his strength was really weak, or he was deliberately hiding his strength. Tianyun believed that it was the latter, which meant that he was deliberately hiding his strength. Acting low-key was undoubtedly very suitable for the evil spirit clan who came here alone. Miss Mu, do you know about the evil spirit clan? Tianyun asked. Evil spirit clan? I know, a very evil race. Murong Xiao immediately revealed a disgusted expression. What if they come to participate? Tianyun continued to ask. They still dare to come to participate? If they are discovered, they will definitely die without a complete corpse. Could it be that there is an evil spirit clan among the participants? Murong Xiao covered her mouth in surprise. She turned her head and looked around, but she could not tell which one was the evil spirit clan. It's that black-robed one. He's the evil spirit clan. Tianyun frowned and said, but his bloodline is rather thin. Even if I say it, no one will believe me, right? He could see it, but it did not mean that others could. He had even taken out his blood essence, but he was unable to detect it. This meant that it was hidden very deeply. If he could not see through it and said it again, he might be accused of slandering others. No way, I can't feel it at all. Murong Xiao shook his head. It's fine as long as you know. Remember to be wary of him. I don't know what they are planning, but as long as they have the slightest trace of the evil spirit clan's bloodline, it will be very easy for them to go wrong. He had seen the sins of the evil spirit clan. Although he did not dare to say that all those who possessed the bloodline of the evil spirit clan were bad, those who dared to appear here were basically not good people. All right. Murong Xiao nodded. She did not doubt Tianyun's words and directly treated him as the evil spirit clan. She also knew what Tianyun meant. If she reported it, she would be punished here if she did not have sufficient evidence. After all, it would be seen as improper methods, and it was not allowed in this competition. Tianyun looked at Lord Tej, and Lord Tej seemed to feel Tianyun looking at him, so he raised his head and looked at him. Chapter 1009. Very quickly, everyone came out of the deity palace. Elder Go Huang put the deity palace away. Everyone had exchanged for something good, and their faces were filled with pride. There were many good treasures in this temple, which were much better than in their god domain. Of course, they were very happy. Even if they lost, they were satisfied. After all, they had obtained many good things. I can see that you are all very satisfied. Elder Go Huang looked at them and smiled. Some of you have the opportunity to become disciples of our 5 god domains. As for those who haven't reached the standard yet, this test will bring you benefits. Elder Go Huang was rather gentle and didn't put on too much airs. After all, there was no lack of outstanding geniuses, and some were even stronger than native god domain experts. Of course, there were many native god domain experts among the participants, which made up more than half of them. It could only be said that those who were born here had an extraordinary starting point from a young age. Everyone listened attentively to Elder Go Huang's words, not missing a single word. Now, let's proceed to the second stage, God Tribulation. Elder Go Huang slowly explained the content of the next stage. God Tribulation. When the earth monarchs heard this, their bodies shivered, which reminded them of the heaven tribulation they had experienced. The difficulty was extremely high, and if they didn't succeed, the result would be death. Now, they had to undergo heaven tribulation. Wasn't this sending them to their deaths? Their cultivation hadn't been completely stabilized, and triggering the heaven tribulation was courting death. Don't be nervous. We are not asking you to trigger some heaven tribulation, but we will release a test similar to the heaven tribulation. Elder Go Huang looked at them and said, "This is a kind of training for you to undergo heaven tribulation in the future. It will be helpful to you. The difficulty will increase gradually, just like the divine battle thunder drum, which has 9 levels. The passing line is the 5th level, and those below the 5th level will be eliminated. Beyond the 5th level, the higher you go, the more rewards you will get. Similarly, after you pass this God tribulation, there will be many benefits for you. You will know in a while." The simple rules allowed the contestants to know what to do. In fact, it was just a competition to see who could endure more. The stronger one's endurance, the longer one could endure. As for what the reward would be, he would only know after he passed the test. Everyone knew what he meant after hearing that. Following that, they were arranged to find a spacious area to wait in. The deity battle arena before them was extremely spacious. It could even accommodate 1,000 people. It would not be a problem for it to accommodate 100,000 people. It was really too spacious, and the surrounding audience was very far away. Of course, their cultivation was astonishing. No matter how far away they were, they could still see clearly. There was no need to worry about not being able to see clearly. The content of the second stage is a bit different. I've never seen it before. Nian Xiaoyu said worriedly, the difficulty doesn't sound low. Yi Tianyun and the rest should be able to pass it. Everything was hard to say. Even if Yi Tianyun displayed great strength, it did not mean that it would be easy for him to pass the tribulation. As long as it wasn't over, everything was unknown. After everyone was ready, the sky began to change color in an instant. Layers of thick tribulation cloud appeared in front of them. The first to appear was the black tribulation cloud, which looked no different from the black clouds in the thunderstorm outside. Rumble. Dense heavenly lightning rumbled in the clouds, as though it would strike down from above at any moment. Everyone started to be alert. It was about to begin. After the heavenly lightning rumbled, it became thicker and thicker. From the initial size of a finger, it became as thick as a person in the blink of an eye. First stage. As Elder Go Huang's words landed, a thick heavenly lightning smashed down ruthlessly towards every participant below. Not a single one was left out. There was no need to get lucky. The main thing was that the participants below would have to undergo this test. Close to 1,000 thick lightning bolts struck down. The white light flashed, making it hard for people to open their eyes. It was a spectacular sight. Boom! The thick lightning smashed onto Yi Tianyun's body. The densely packed lightning was quickly absorbed into his body, turning into his experience points. Not bad. There are indeed some benefits. Yi Tianyun, who was meditating, smiled. Just by using his body to withstand the lightning, he instantly gained over 100 million experience points. It was comparable to the effect of the Sacred Hall of Life. This was only the first stage. He probably wouldn't be able to absorb as much later, so he could only withstand it. Of course, he didn't need to withstand it himself. His body was enough to withstand it. Boom, boom, boom. The thick heavenly lightning didn't stop. Instead, it smashed down madly, constantly striking on their bodies. Some used weapons to withstand it, but there were also those like Yi Tianyun, who could withstand it with just their bodies. Yi Tianyun looked up. Earth Lord Tianqing was simply sitting there. The heavenly lightning didn't even land on her before it was burned away by the flames around her. Earth Lord Demonic Eye and the others were the same. The energy around their bodies was enough to withstand the heavenly lightning. Yi Tianyun, on the other hand, was in close contact with the heavenly lightning, which was rare. Others couldn't absorb the experience points for themselves like him, so they all chose to resist it outside. However, there were some exceptions. For example, Earth Lord Yunlei, who was a little unhappy with Yi Tianyun, had been absorbing the lightning at a crazy rate. The heavenly lightning was also a great tonic for him, so he naturally absorbed it if he could. Earth Lord Yunlei glanced at him and was a little surprised. This kid, does he also have a lightning attribute constitution? He was a little curious when he saw Yi Tianyun withstanding the heavenly lightning. Soon, the first stage was over. A beam of energy descended from the sky and enveloped them. Dense astral power began to flow into their bodies and began to nourish their bodies. This feeling was like a normal heaven's tribulation. It could heal their bodies and strengthen their powers. However, it was different from heaven's tribulation in that it didn't contain any power of laws. Fortunately, it worked well for them. This might be the benefit that Elder Go Huang mentioned. It's indeed very similar to heaven's tribulation. It's quite amazing to be able to simulate it. Yi Tianyun sighed. If he could master this ability, it wouldn't be a problem for him to nurture a good disciple. Soon, the second stage was about to begin. They didn't have much time to rest. The originally thick layer of clouds became several times thicker. It was still the same thick heavenly lightning, but the heavenly lightning had suddenly increased by several times, becoming even bigger. Kaboom! The huge lightning continued to hit Yi Tianyun, and he absorbed a little more experience. However, this time, he couldn't completely absorb it. The rest was blocked outside and didn't seep into his body at all. Chapter 10:10. More and more powerful bolts of lightning struck down, but Yi Tianyun took them all without any pressure. Only someone with a strong physique dared to do this. The second stage ended quickly. Basically, each stage only lasted for 2 hours. After the end, there would be rewards. First, their injuries were healed, and then some energy was given to them for cultivation. After 2 stages, not a single one of the thousands of participants failed. If they couldn't even withstand the second stage, they would be too ashamed to stay here. Only those who passed the 5th stage could be considered to have passed. If they failed the second stage, it meant that their strength was average. Fortunately, those who passed were the elites of the elites, so they had no problem withstanding it. The 3rd stage. As Elder Go Huang's voice sounded, the clouds in the sky thickened again, and the heavenly lightning intensified again. It was still only at the level of heavenly lightning. Apart from that, there was nothing else. However, just this alone was terrifying enough. The heavenly lightning became thicker, like a giant dragon rolling in the clouds, ready to smash down at any moment. Boom! Another heavenly lightning struck down, and Yi Tianyun still used his body to block it. With a loud bang, the arena was filled with white light, so bright that it was hard to see clearly. Boom, boom, boom. The heavenly lightning didn't stop, and it continued to strike down crazily. In fact, the attack frequency was no different from before, but the power was much higher. In the 3rd stage, a few people finally let out a few screams and were turned into charcoal by the heavenly lightning. But they didn't die, just heavily injured, and were teleported away. The moment they fell, they were teleported away, so they wouldn't be hurt a second time. Soon, the 3rd stage ended. More than 100 people disappeared, which meant that more than 100 people were eliminated. The power of the 3rd stage was shocking. Many people failed, and even more people survived. But those who used their bodies to block were few and far between. Only a few people continued to block with their bodies. Does this kid really have a heavenly lightning body? Earth Lord Cloud Thunder was stunned. He had been paying attention to Tianyun the whole time. Who knew that he would still use his body to block in the third stage? Earth Monarch Cloud Thunder also used his fleshly body to block. He was curious if Tianyun had a body of heavenly lightning. If he did, then he would be a match for someone with the same constitution. At the same time, Tianyun was being watched by many experts. After all, he was the first in the first round, so they had to pay close attention to him. When they saw that Tianyun's body could withstand 3 stages in a row, they couldn't help but wonder if he had a heavenly thunder physique. Boom! The clouds in the sky pressed down again. The clouds became thicker and thicker, but they didn't go up. Instead, they went down. As the clouds thickened, they felt more and more stifled, and the attacks became closer. At this time, there was still a huge bolt of heavenly lightning. It had doubled again. Could it only imitate tribulation lightning and not tribulation fire? No one hoped that there would be more tribulation fire. It was already quite terrifying to have tribulation lightning all the time. After all, more than 100 people had been eliminated in the third stage. If this continued, who knew how many more would be eliminated? Fourth stage. Kaboom! A bolt of lightning the size of a mountain struck down from the sky. Just as it was about to hit the cultivators, it turned into a thin bolt of lightning and bombarded the bodies of many cultivators. Ah! The screams were soon covered by the loud thunder. When the white light disappeared, the audience saw that more than 100 people had been eliminated in an instant. It was just one bolt of lightning, and another 100 people had been eliminated. Kaboom! Another bolt of heavenly lightning struck down. The moment it disappeared, which was a moment of relief for the audience, they saw another 100 people had been eliminated. There were less than 1,000 people at first, but in the blink of an eye, almost half of them had been eliminated. There were less than 500 people left. This number was decreasing sharply. The following bolts of lightning continued to fall, and finally, no one was eliminated. Those who could withstand several strikes could completely withstand the rest. At this time, the audience noticed that Tianyun could continue to withstand the attacks of heavenly lightning without any pressure. This situation was the same as Earth Monarch Cloud Thunder. He didn't feel any pressure at all. It should be the body of heavenly lightning. I didn't expect this kid to have the body of heavenly lightning. The 9 region lords were full of jealousy. They didn't expect such a genius to appear in the heavenly mandate sacred realm and beat them. What they didn't know was that Tianyun didn't have the body of heavenly lightning at all. He was just misunderstood. After the 4th stage, the participants had a short rest. Energy kept falling to help them recover from their injuries. At this time, there were only more than 400 people left in the field. Such a miserable situation made many of the sacred lands speechless. If some continued to fail, they would be completely eliminated, which was really embarrassing. For example, there were only 3 people left in the heavenly mandate sacred realm. Sima Kong failed in the end. He couldn't withstand it with his strength. Only Yuan Tianyu could. That was not too bad. Only Earth Monarch Sun Shui was left in the 9 regions, and Yu Qingling was left in the Fire Jade sacred realm. They had been proud of themselves, but now they found that only one person was left. If they couldn't even withstand the 5th stage, then everything would be over. By then, they would be reduced to spectators, and their performance in the future would have nothing to do with them. The heavenly mandate domain lord almost laughed out loud. He had 3 people on his side. No matter what, they should be able to pass, right? They only hoped that someone could make it to the top 50 or top 30. It would be great if they could make it to the top 10. If it were in the past, there would be no one left in the heavenly mandate sacred realm. They would be eliminated before they even reached the last stage. Therefore, they were extremely surprised this time. They hoped that Tianyun and the others could make it to the top 30 or even the top 10. Tianyun didn't even bother to look up. He continued to close his eyes and waited for the divine test. The fifth stage. Elder Go Huang announced the fifth stage again. The sky thickened again. The key was that the clouds began to surge with a faint red color. Following that, the red light rolled in the clouds, which meant that the divine test this time had added the calamity fire. As long as they passed this stage, they would be qualified. As expected, the passing stage would be more difficult. Whether they could pass or not depended on this stage. Many participants looked up at the sky and felt the scorching heat of the flames. They didn't even release it, but they could feel the extremely high temperatures starting to burn the surface of their bodies. It would be terrible if they were to be flung down. All the region lords and elders were praying in their hearts, hoping that their contestants would be able to make it through this round. Chapter 10-11. Many of the region lords only wanted their disciples to pass. That was a very low requirement. The main thing was that after seeing the difficulty, they knew it was not easy. They all knew the strength of the disciples they sent. Therefore, it was already good enough to ask for a pass, let alone a very high standard. While others are worried about whether they can pass or not, Yi Tianyun is like an old monk meditating, just sitting there, ignoring everything. Boom! Divine thunder and divine fire fused together, forming a huge beam of thunder and fire that bombarded down from the sky. It aimed at every participant, not missing a single one. Boom! When the attack smashed down, there was another loud noise, and the entire divine battleground shook. The screams could not be heard at all, completely covered by the loud noise. Many of the region lords stretched their necks and looked forward, wanting to see if their disciples could pass this test. As the fire quickly disappeared, the number of people in front of them was halved. There were only about 200 people left in front of them, which was almost half of the number of people they had before. Some looked like they could barely hold on, but their bodies were already charred black. However, they quickly took out elixirs and kept stuffing them into their mouths to recover from their injuries. They had to pass the fifth stage no matter what. The remaining stages did not matter, as long as they could pass the fifth stage. While others were stuffing elixirs into their mouths to recover, a small group of people easily resisted all of this. The sacred fire on Earth Lord Tianqing burned everything, including the divine thunder and divine fire that came down. It could not hurt her at all. Earth Lord Yunlei was also fine, but he did not dare to use his body to resist anymore. Instead, he put up a thick layer of divine thunder to resist the invasion of the divine fire. He was not afraid of the terrible divine thunder, but the terrible divine fire. The difficulty is not bad. Earth Lord Yunlei and the others could not help but look at Yi Tianyun, and their pupils shrank. This kid still withstood it with his body. The Heavenly Mandate Region Lord was shocked. He thought that Yi Tianyun would use some other ability to resist, but he did it with his body. This was the most shocking part. Previously, he might have been able to resist with his body because he had the body of divine thunder. Now, with the addition of the divine fire, he could still resist it. Protectorate Lord, have you forgotten that he possesses two types of demon fires? Nian Xiaoyu reminded her. Only then did the Heavenly Mandate Region Lord remember that Yi Tianyun had two kinds of demonic fires. Then there was nothing to be afraid of about the so-called divine fire. This time, a smile appeared on his face. He would definitely pass the fifth stage. Boom boom boom. The divine fire and divine lightning struck Yi Tianyun again and again, but Yi Tianyun was able to withstand all of the attacks with ease. He was wearing the evil demon god set and the ancient desolate set. His defense was shocking, so why would he need the heavenly thunder body? Even if the attack seeped into his body, he could absorb it without any pressure. The others were different. Even if they were wearing good armor, if the energy was not expelled in time, it could easily cause problems. Thus, he did not dare to use his physical body to block it unless he could absorb this energy. After 2 hours, the fifth stage finally ended. There were only 150 people left on the field. Unexpectedly, there were only 150 people who passed the test. This result was already quite surprising. At least there were still more than 100 people who could pass such a cruel test. If there were only a few dozen people, it would be embarrassing. We passed, we passed. Many of the contestants cheered. Even if they passed, they would be satisfied. This power was too terrifying. It was good enough to pass, so they did not dare to ask for more. Some people were happy, while others felt that there was nothing to be happy about. For example, the real strong cultivators like Tianqing and Earthly Lord did not feel anything at all. They were all expressionless. Demon-eyed Earthly Lord looked at the people on the other side and sneered, "A bunch of idiots. You just passed and you are so happy. No wonder you are a bunch of fools." These geniuses, who were high above, naturally looked down on those who only wanted to pass. In their opinion, these contestants who were so easily satisfied would never reach a higher level in their lifetime. Yi Tianyun opened his eyes slowly. Murong Xiao had persisted, but these tests were not friendly to her. Whether it was the divine thunder or the divine fire, her element was somewhat restrained. However, she still persisted, which was really unexpected. Yuan Tianyu also persisted, but he looked half dead now. He would definitely lose in the next stage. Ling Yunfeng looked relaxed, which meant that his level would not stop here. Yu Qingling also persisted. It had to be said that the few people he had seen could all do it. Big brother Tianyun, you are so powerful, but you still used your body to resist? Murong Xiao naturally saw it. Yi Tianyun's strength refreshed her view. It's all right. You have to be careful. Yi Tianyun smiled, the clouds in the sky are getting thicker and thicker, more and more pressing down. If this continues, the thickness of the clouds will be pressed down on the ground. Before the contestants could be happy for long, the sixth stage was about to begin. Elder Go Huang would not give them too much time. After all, passing was not the end. The real final stage was the ninth stage. The sixth stage is about to begin. Everyone, please get ready. Elder Go Huang reminded. The contestants who were originally very happy all prepared to resist. They wanted to try and see if they could endure through the sixth stage. Rumble, another color appeared on the clouds in the sky, gold. Without a doubt, this gold color must be metal energy. As expected, there was an additional smear of gold in the rumbling divine thunder. This meant that the divine thunder that could destroy the world was mixed with the power of metal. This made the divine thunder look like an extremely sharp spear mixed with scorching divine fire. It looked like a spear that was heated red. This level of divine tribulation made their expressions change. The power was much stronger than before. If they were pierced by this spear, wouldn't they be turned into ashes? Yi Tianyun looked up at the sky. His appraisal eye flickered, and the detailed combat power kept jumping, 180,000 star power. Actually, this was nothing. It was too weak for him. But for some Earth monarchs, this was simply a nightmare. Most of them could only burst out a few 100,000 star power, and this was the limit. How could they resist an attack of this level? If I am slightly weaker, I can only stop here. The test here is really too difficult. Yi Tianyun shook his head. It was more than difficult. It was simply insane. Chapter 10-12. The rolling thunder and lightning in the clouds gradually condensed into a divine spear. As it became more and more solid, the pressure on everyone increased. They even felt the fear of death. If they were penetrated, they would indeed be seriously injured. As for death, it was possible. As the power grew stronger, it would naturally be fatal. Everyone's expression became serious and they did not dare to take it lightly. Only a few people could remain calm in the sixth stage, and Yi Tianyun was one of them. Swish! Like a thunder spear, it suddenly pierced through and wanted to nail the contestants to the ground. Under the terrifying thunder spear, the space began to tremble, and the space was about to be penetrated. Boom! The terrifying attack came crashing down like a huge meteor. The attack that could destroy heaven and earth had finally begun. The dazzling white light filled the entire world. No one could see what was happening inside as they were all covered by the light. However, existences with powerful cultivations had eyes that were like torches. They saw everything clearly and didn't miss a single detail. The white light quickly disappeared, and in the blink of an eye, there were only 90 people left from the original 150 people. More than half of the contestants were gone. Among the 90 people, more than 50 people were seriously injured and covered in blood. It was obvious that the terrifying thunder spear had almost penetrated them. Among the remaining 40 people, some were lightly injured, and some were uninjured. Those who should be calm were still calm, and there was no problem with them sitting there. The only ones who could behave like this were Tianyun and Earth Lord. They just sat there and resisted. However, from the naked eye, Tianyun was more domineering. He was unharmed and there was no pressure at all. Everyone couldn't help but gasp when they saw this. Was he using his body to resist the attack? This caused many contestants to look sideways and feel a little surprised. Not bad. Demon-eyed Earth Lord's eyes twinkled with evil, but he didn't think there was any problem. Some people's skin was very thick, and it was difficult to break through their defense. However, it was only their defense that was strong, and the rest were weak. The 5 elders nodded. They did not feel very surprised, nor did they feel the slightest bit shocked. They were already used to this kind of scene, but they felt that Tianyun's standards were still acceptable. This human youth is pretty interesting. It's been a long time since I've seen such a strong human. The elders of Go Huang nodded and looked at Tianqing. The contestant who can control the holy fire is even more amazing. Everything that approaches is burned into nothingness. Yes, that human youth is not bad, but compared to the possessor of the sacred flame, there's still a big gap. Their defenses are powerful, but when they clash with the flames, everything will cease to exist. They had some appreciation for Tianyun, but they were more appreciative of Heavenly God and Earthly Lord. Boom! While everyone was discussing, the lightning did not give up on condensing. It quickly condensed a second attack. The power was the same as before. It was still the divine spear attack, mixed with powerful penetrative power, enough to pierce through everything. Swish swish swish. The attack pressed down fiercely again. The white light continued to shine, and the explosions continued to ring out. There were fewer and fewer contestants. As the 6th stage ended, there were less than 50 people who could continue to sit on it. When the light came down, the contestants finally breathed a sigh of relief. They began to take out a handful of elixirs and stuffed them into their mouths to recover quickly. That attack was so terrible. I almost couldn't hold on. Yes, it was so terrible. I felt like I almost died. They were shocked. Fortunately, they had held on, or else they would have lost. To be able to make it to the 7th stage was already a great achievement. There were less than 50 people in the audience. To be precise, there were only 46 people left. Out of hundreds of thousands of contestants, only 46 people were left. It was really cruel. Of course, there were more than 150 people who could successfully enter the 3rd stage. However, if they wanted to perform well in the 2nd stage, they had to continue to hold on. The elders of Go Huang did not announce the rewards, but they knew that they would not be stingy. Moreover, the better the performance, the more likely they were to be selected as disciples. They only said that it was possible to enter the top 100, but it was not absolutely possible. Hence, they had to perform well. Otherwise, they could forget about joining the 5 God Realm factions. These 5 God domains weren't the only Grade 2 God domains. There were many other God domains, but only these 5 God domains were willing to accept the mortal world's experts. If they wanted to become a God Realm faction, they could only join through the ascending battle in the God Realm. The other factions could not enter. Obviously, a God Realm faction could reach the ascending battle by flying. However, if one were to casually step in and be discovered, the only outcome awaiting them would be death. It was like humans and dogs could not enter. Cultivators who did not meet the standards could forget about entering. The seventh stage is about to begin. There is no way to guarantee your safety in the next stage. If you are unable to block it, there is a possibility that you will die. Please consider this carefully, Elder Go Huang reminded. The seventh stage was different from the other stages. Its power would definitely double. Hence, if they continued to hold on, they would definitely die. I choose to withdraw. Someone immediately chose to withdraw without any hesitation. They were already on the verge of death in the sixth stage, not to mention the seventh stage. If they died, everything would be for naught. I also choose to withdraw. The surrounding audience did not laugh at them. They felt that it was normal. Not everyone could hold on until the end. As long as they could advance, it was already good enough. The fact that they could hold on until now meant that they were the victors. As more and more people chose to withdraw, only 26 people remained. Once again, the number of people decreased by half. It seemed that there were still quite a number of people who felt that they had reached their limits. How do you feel? Can you still hold on? Yi Tianyun looked at Murong Xiao. It was already quite impressive that she could hold on until this stage. Yu Qingling and the others had already failed. Yuan Tianyu was the same. It was already good enough that they could hold on until this stage. I can still hold on. Murong Xiao nodded with a stubborn expression. She still wanted to hold on for once and recognize her own potential. All right. If you can't hold on, just collapse. Yi Tianyun smiled faintly and did not try to persuade her. He knew that he could not change Murong Xiao's mind. He could only let her continue. Chapter 10:13. After everyone left, Elder Go Huang announced, "Let's begin the seventh stage." As soon as he finished his sentence, another color appeared in the sky, earthy yellow. They added the power of earth to the gods' test. A heavy force pressed down from the sky, making them feel as if there was a mountain on their shoulders. Many of them bent over. They could already feel the immense pressure before it even started. The power of earth seeped into the godly lightning, adding a tinge of earthy yellow to it. This meant that the godly lightning had become stronger. Increasing the power of earth, Yi Tianyun looked up at the godly lightning. Its power had indeed doubled, reaching 400,000 points of astral power. Compared to the previous 100,000 points of astral power, this increase was beyond a certain level. Even an ordinary Lord of Heaven wouldn't be able to withstand this terrifying attack. But now, it was descending on the Earth Lords. The pressure was immense. Buzz! The giant spear was about to pierce through. The spear had only just appeared, but the pressure had already doubled. Some of them wanted to hold on, but their faces turned pale when they saw the situation. It seemed that they couldn't hold on at all. They would really die. I give up. Some of the participants chose to give up when the godly lightning struck. After all, this was a fatal attack. There's no such thing as giving up once you make a choice. Unless you lose consciousness after the first attack, you'll have to endure it. Elder Go Huang looked at them coldly. I've said it before. You don't have that many choices. Don't think that you can fool us just because you deliberately lose consciousness. Elder Go Huang's words made the participants turn pale. Didn't that mean they had to endure the first attack? Yi Tianyun looked at them and shook his head. This was like entering a dangerous place. Once you entered, you wouldn't be able to get out. Unless you found an exit from another place, you would be trapped inside. Once you tried, you had to take it seriously. There was no way you could go back on your words. The region lords couldn't help but curse out loud. They had thought that their disciples would be able to hold on. So, they just wanted to try and see if they could pass it. Is there such a saying nowadays? He was simply courting death. This would make quite a few region lords a laughingstock, causing them to lose face. Boom! The divine tribulation did not stop. Soon, a bolt of divine lightning struck down heavily. Under the dazzling white light, it took away a small group of people's lives. They were completely blasted into pieces. After the first bolt of lightning ended, 5 people were blasted into smithereens. It was obvious that they had been turned into a pile of meat paste on the ground. This was the cruel reality, a reality that could not be changed. Originally, they could have successfully advanced to the next stage, or at least entered the 3rd stage. But now, forget about the 3rd stage, all their efforts had been for naught. This was what it meant to give it a try. No one pitied or sympathized with them. This was the price they had to pay for not being responsible for themselves. Yi Tianyun glanced at Murong Xiao. Rings of green light were released from her body. She had now transformed into a towering tree. Even if it was just a tree, its defensive power was still terrifying to the extreme. It was able to resist this savage divine lightning. However, her situation was not ideal either. Many places were injured by the divine lightning, but she could still persevere. Seeing that Murong Xiao was able to persevere, Yi Tianyun smiled. It was not because he had a good impression of her, but because her level was indeed shocking. It was just that among the remaining participants, there were a few that he felt were stronger. Apart from Heavenly God Earth Lord, the other was Earth Lord Taegu. He was the one with the evil spirit race's bloodline. He did not use his physical body to resist, but rather used his weapons to attack. Every time, it looked like he was having a hard time resisting, but he still managed to persevere. This made him not stand out among so many participants. After all, he did not look powerful, so he did not attract much attention. Now that there were fewer people, someone finally noticed him. They all suspected that this Earth Lord Taegu was hiding his strength. Others guessed that he was hiding his strength, but Yi Tianyun believed that he was. He could feel that there was a terrifying power in this Earth Lord Taeji's body. However, he could only detect it with his appraisal eye. Ordinary senses would not be able to detect it. If there was anyone present who looked powerful and had the power to win, Earth Lord Taegu was undoubtedly one of them, and the other was Earth Lord Heavenly God Earth Lord. As for the others, they were completely insignificant. What Earth Lord Demon Eye? What Earth Lord Cloud Thunder? They did not have any power to speak of. They were powerful, but to him, they were not as mysterious as the other two. Soon, the 7th stage of the divine lightning finally ended. Yi Tianyun still used his physical body to resist, and the others also used their powerful strength to resist the 7th stage. However, there were only a dozen people left, and the number of people was reduced by half again. It's finally over, many people heaved a sigh of relief in their hearts and quickly recovered from their injuries. At this time, the ground was already scorched black, and there was no place that was unharmed. It was enough to show how tragic it was. Not bad. Congratulations on enduring the 7th stage. If so, you can choose to withdraw now or choose to stay, Elder Go Huang continued. Immediately, some people chose to withdraw, and the number of people decreased from a dozen to 8. Among them, Murong Xiao chose to leave. Big brother Tianyun, do your best. I'm already at my limit. Murong Xiao's face was pale. It was quite amazing that he could endure until now. Yi Tianyun nodded, and Murong Xiao left. Even Lingyun Peak chose to leave this place. There were only a few people left, and all the experts present saw it. Among them were Earth Lord Heavenly God Earth Lord, Yi Tianyun Earth Lord Demon Eye, Earth Lord Taegu, Earth Lord Cloud Thunder, and 3 unknown participants. Yi Tianyun did not know the 3, but they were not weak. However, they did not have any interaction with him, so he did not bother to pay attention to them. However, apart from Yi Tianyun, the rest of the people who could stay here were Earth Lord 7 refinements and above. The strongest was Earth Lord Heavenly God Earth Lord 8 refinements. Next is the 8th stage, and its power will be even more shocking. Elder Go Huang looked at them and said, "It's quite amazing that you can endure until now. This is the range that only the Lord of Heaven can resist." Of course, to be able to endure until the 7th stage, in our opinion, is only a beginner. Chapter 10:14. Many of the failed participants paled when they heard that. Didn't that mean they couldn't even reach the beginner level? If they couldn't even reach the beginner level, how could they join the second-grade God realm? Wasn't that saying that they couldn't join the second-grade God realm in advance? Their eyes were filled with disappointment and sadness. They had worked so hard for so long, yet they couldn't even reach the threshold. Just reaching the beginner level doesn't mean that those who didn't make it to this stage will be rejected. I just want to say that according to the standards of our God realm, this is just reaching the beginner level. Elder Go Huang smiled. Everyone has different standards, but it doesn't mean you don't have a chance. You can still join our God realm to cultivate. I just want to make it clear that you think you have the right to be arrogant, but in our God realm, you are only at the beginner level. After saying so much, he just wanted to make it clear that they shouldn't be arrogant or complacent. If they thought that they were strong because they passed the 6th stage or the 7th stage, they shouldn't be arrogant. Elder Go Huang's declaration that they were only at the beginner level was equivalent to pouring a bucket of cold water on them to calm them down. Everyone finally understood what Elder Go Huang meant. He just didn't want them to be arrogant. The 8th stage, prepare to begin. Elder Go Huang didn't say much. After he finished speaking, a new color appeared in the thick clouds, green. It was a shade of green, as if it was full of vitality. However, they didn't feel any vitality at all. They only felt a special force trying to extract the vitality from their bodies and suck them dry. Is it the power of wood this time? Yi Tianyun's eyes flickered. If he didn't guess wrong, the next stage would be the power of water. The power of the 5 elements only appeared later. They were all stacked in the divine lightning, becoming more and more powerful. As the power of the 5 elements increased, they formed a mutually reinforcing state. How could the power not be terrifying? His combat power doubled again, reaching more than 800,000 points of star power. In other words, was it really prepared for an Earth Lord? The problem was that it was prepared for an Earth Lord. Elder Go Huang wasn't lying. To them, this power was only at the beginner level. Under the same level of cultivation, a Grade 2 God Realm cultivator would far surpass a Grade 1 God Realm cultivator. It wasn't that they were too strict, it was just that judging by the standards, those who couldn't meet the standards would be eliminated. This is already the 8th stage. Can he still use his physical body to resist? This was what many people thought of Yi Tianyun. Such a terrifying power, mixed with so many attributes. If he did not resist it, once it invaded his body, it would undoubtedly cause great harm. If he still uses his physical body to resist, your heavenly mandate divine region will have one less participant, the 9 region lord said with a smile. You don't have to worry about this, 9 region lord. I think he knows what he is doing, the heavenly mandate region lord quickly retorted, not giving face to the 9 region lord. Didn't you hear Lord Go Huang's words? He wants them to not be too arrogant, and to learn to fight steadily and surely. You've been using your physical body to block the attacks just to show off and attract more people's attention. The 9 region lord shook his head and sneered, this is a good way to attract people. Maybe he is already an arrow at the end of its flight and can't hold on any longer. Is that so? Even if he can't hold on, at least he has made it to the 8th stage. I wonder how long the people sent by the 9 region lord can last. The heavenly mandate region lord immediately embarrassed himself. To be fair, our people won't be able to last long in this stage, but that doesn't mean they're weak. The 9th region's domain leader sneered. It looks like your people really want to use their physical bodies to block the attack. Once they die, everything will be in vain. Everyone looked over. Yi Tianyun was still not ready to fight and was still meditating in the same place. Of course, Tianqing and Earthly Lord were also meditating in the same place. The others all stood up and were ready to fight. Tianqing and Earthly Lord still had the sacred fire surrounding him. What could Yi Tianyun have? He didn't release any energy, and he looked very normal, as if he was meditating normally. Boom! The god's tribulation did not care whether Tianyun was ready or not. The next moment, it smashed down heavily on the contestants. The power soared into the sky, and the terrible energy tornado swept around. However, it hit the thick shield and made a pa-pa-pa sound. It could not break the thick shield. Everyone stared at it without blinking, wanting to see what happened to Tianyun. In the 8th stage, Tianyun became the protagonist. Because he dared to use his physical body to resist, how could he not attract attention? After the light disappeared, what appeared in front of everyone's eyes was still that undamaged body. Tianyun's body was covered with lightning, but it only left a mark on the surface of his body. Soon, it gradually disappeared, and he was not hurt at all. What? Everyone was shocked by this scene and stood up. Could the 7th stage be played like this? After such a terrible divine thunder penetrated his body, he did not feel any pressure at all. In fact, Tianyun had already felt a little hurt, but only a little. The terrifying defense set, coupled with the terrifying defense of the dragon god's bloodline, was enough to stand above everyone here. All along, he had been most proud of his physical defense. If his defense was strong enough, what kind of attack would he have to worry about? It's not over yet. I don't believe that this kid will still use his physical body to resist. The 9-region lord gritted his teeth. Soon, they were disappointed. Countless divine thunder smashed down, but Tianyun absorbed it all. Apart from the power that was too strong to be absorbed, almost half of the energy was absorbed into his body and turned into experience points. It could be said that this was feeding him experience points. How could he not use his physical body to resist? As he continued to resist, he felt that he could break through to the level of the 7th refined Earth Lord. He only needed a little more experience to break through. Of course, this little more experience was still calculated in tens of billions, which was much less than the original total experience. The 8th stage was over, and Tianyun was only slightly injured. Everyone was speechless. Elder Go Huang squinted at Tianyun, and so did the other elders. Their previous judgment was that Tianyun could not continue like this, but now they were wrong. Tianyun could still resist with his physical body. Chapter 10-15. The fact that Tianyun could withstand the 8th stage with his body was beyond everyone's expectations. This was the late stage of the 8th stage. How could it be played like this? It feels good. If I hadn't improved, I wouldn't have been able to withstand it. Tianyun twisted his neck and quickly absorbed the energy that remained in his body. The tyrannical energy ran amok in the planets in his body, destroying many of them. This was why he didn't dare to move the people from the 3 realms in. If they did, they would be seriously injured by this kind of attack. The planets in his body were like this. Lightning flashed and thunder rumbled everywhere. It was not a problem to solve it. The problem was that if someone stayed on the planets, they would be turned to ashes by the impact of this attack. The cultivators in the 3 realms were not strong enough. This was an attack that even an ordinary Lord of Heaven couldn't withstand. If the cultivators from the 3 realms were here, they would definitely die. Under his care, the damaged areas on the planets in his body were quickly repaired. There was no problem at all. Many people were still shocked by Tianyun's performance. It was really infuriating to compare oneself with others. Others had to risk their lives to resist. Tianyun just sat there and used his body to resist. His defense was really abnormal. This power is really terrifying. I wonder if he can withstand it in the final stage. In the final stage, he must get up to resist. That's his last strength. He can't continue to resist with his body. Someone immediately concluded that Tianyun would definitely get up to resist in the final stage. Otherwise, he would definitely be split in half. If he was like Tianqing and Earthly Lord, it would not be a problem to use the sacred fire to resist. However, the two were completely different. Both were sitting on the ground, but one was using the sacred fire and the other was using his body. The difference was like heaven and earth. Tianqing, who didn't pay much attention to all of this, locked his eyes on Yi Tianyun's situation. It's a little interesting. I thought this duel was not interesting at all. Tianqing closed his eyes again. The moment he closed his eyes, there was a little more interest in his eyes. Earth Lord Taiguo was also sizing up Yi Tianyun with greed in his pitch-black eyes. There was no need to mention Earth Monarch Demon Eye as he was also shocked by Yi Tianyun's situation. They all knew how terrifying the 8th stage was, but Yi Tianyun was still able to withstand it. It was evident how strong his defense was. No wonder you dare to talk back to me. So you have some ability. Demon Eye Earth Monarch's eyes were filled with killing intent. This made him feel threatened. Earth Lord Cloudy Thunder didn't utter a word as he stared fixedly at Yi Tianyun. As for the other three, they were eliminated in the 8th stage. Only the 5 of them were left in the arena, and they were the top 5. This could be considered to determine the qualifications of the top 5. To be able to withstand such a terrifying power was enough to prove that they were not simple. All right. The Heavenly Mandate Region Lord only said, "Good," and did not say anything else. What else was there to say about all this? This is the best result in the history of our Heavenly Mandate Region, isn't it? Nian Xiu and the others were all excited. They felt that everything was like a dream and not real. They had always been at the bottom, but suddenly they had made it to such a high level. This time they felt that they had really picked up a treasure. A super genius suddenly appeared out of nowhere, and he didn't even need to train them. Even if he was a ready-made genius, he had successfully obtained such a high honor. The 9th stage. Elder Go Huang announced the next stage and explained at the same time, this is the last stage. If you can withstand it and pass, you will get the greatest honor. You don't even need to participate in the 3rd stage to become a disciple of any of the 5 divine realms. When this announcement was made, the crowds suddenly burst into an uproar. They didn't expect that passing the 9th stage would directly get a place to join the divine realms. Wasn't this reward a little too much? They didn't even need to pass the 3rd stage to directly join the 5 divine realms, and they could choose at will. According to the normal process, even if they had an okay result, they couldn't choose at will. They could only let these divine realms choose, and the gap was obvious. But on the other hand, didn't it mean that the 9th stage was already unbelievably terrifying? If that wasn't the case, Elder Go Huang would never say so. As expected, Elder Go Huang continued to add, the 9th stage is the most difficult, unprecedentedly difficult. It is many times more difficult than the 8th stage. Now I solemnly remind you that if you should give up, you should give up. If you force yourself to continue, you will die. Of course, in this 9th stage, I will give you a chance to regret. If you feel that you can't do it, you can choose to give up. They had never enjoyed such preferential treatment before, which was enough to show how cautious they were. After hearing what Elder Go Huang said, everyone looked serious. It seemed that the 9th stage was not easy. Is there anyone who wants to give up now? Elder Go Huang glanced at them. No one chose to give up. After all, they could choose to give up immediately. No matter what, they wanted to see how terrifying the 9th stage was. Since no one wants to give up, then we can start now. The 9th stage soon appeared in front of them. The clouds were no exception, there was an additional layer of light blue. This meant that there was an additional power of water. The power of water was placed last, and then integrated into the god's tribulation. As soon as it integrated, the power of the 5 elements in the sky completely integrated. Soon, the thick clouds began to gradually solidify. From the originally thick clouds, it became thinner and thinner. It was not getting thicker and thicker, but thinner and thinner. As the clouds became more and more solid, a huge 5-element square array was formed in the sky. After the 5-element square array was spread out, it began to form mutually reinforcing layers. Under the interlocking, the power stacked layer by layer, becoming more and more powerful. Layer after layer of energy began to circulate, circling round after round. An even more terrifying divine thunder condensed in the sky, and more shadows appeared. This shadow was the shadow of Elder Go Huang. It was unexpected that Elder Go Huang personally enhanced it. How could its power be ordinary? Boom! A bone-chilling sound of thunder rang out in the sky. Elder Go Huang's shadow held a huge divine thunder in his hand, and the power of the 5 elements was integrated into the divine thunder. At this moment, Elder Go Huang seemed to have turned into a god of thunder, and he was above everyone else. This is indeed the last stage. Its power is indeed terrifying. Etienne's appraisal eye kept flashing, and the power of the thundercloud skyrocketed, reaching more than 2 million astral power in an instant. This was already the limit of the 3rd or 4th stage of the Lord of Heaven. No wonder it was said that if one could withstand this attack, he or she would be able to enter the divine realm. Chapter 10:16. The power of the last stage was immediately displayed in front of everyone. This was a brand new trial, causing many of the elders to be shocked. They had never experienced this kind of trial before. The test was so difficult that they would have to be careful. After all, the energy waves had reached the 3rd or 4th stage of the Lord of Heaven. It was terrifying to think about. Could an Earth Lord really withstand it? Tianyun squinted at the 9th stage of the God's test. The power was getting stronger and stronger, and it could still go up. This level of power caused the faces of Earth Monarch Demon Eye and the others to turn pale. This had already exceeded the limits of what they could endure. Their cultivation was good, but it did not mean that they were invincible. However, they did not choose to give up. They still wanted to withstand it. After all, once they passed it, it would be equivalent to joining a 2nd-grade god realm. How could they miss out on something that was filled with temptation like this? It seems that no one has chosen to give up. However, you will still be allowed to be moved out if you are knocked unconscious. Elder Go Huang would not be so heartless. He still gave them a chance to try. If they couldn't withstand it, they would be teleported out and wouldn't have to endure the attacks from below. The 5 people present were ready. At this moment, Earth Lord Demon Eye stood up. It was enough to show that the power was too strong. She had to take it seriously. The others looked at Tianyun. They wondered if Tianyun would block it with his body. Tianyun shook his head and chose to stand up. Even if he had a good physique, he still felt a little pressured when facing more than 2 million star power. Of course, this was based on the fact that he did not use the crazy damage mode. If he used the crazy damage mode, it would not be a big deal. However, after he used it, it would be equivalent to counterattacking. He was not using his body to block it. When everyone saw that Tianyun stood up and was ready to block it, they finally breathed a sigh of relief. It would be strange if he could continue to block it with his body. What's wrong? You don't want to block it with your body? Where's your backbone from before? Is it all gone now? Demon-eyed Earth Monarch mocked from the side. He wanted to infuriate Tianyun so that he would continue to use his physical body to resist. If he died, it would be the best ending for him. When did I say that I was going to use my body to block? If you want to die, I won't play with you. Moreover, I have already withstood 8 stages. Why don't you try using your physical body to withstand the first 8 stages? Tianyun retorted indifferently and blocked Earth Monarch Demon Eye. Demon-eyed Earth Emperor was speechless. He wanted to retort but he couldn't find any words to retort. He could only pray that Tianyun was struck to death. Boom! In the void, Elder Go Huang held a bolt of divine thunder in his hand. When they were ready, he threw it down ruthlessly. In an instant, the lightning struck the center of the arena, not targeting any of the participants. If it were to hit them directly like before, basically no one would be able to block it. After the divine thunder exploded in the center, the densely packed 5 elements lightning split into countless bolts and attacked Yi Tianyun and the rest in waves. It's coming. Everyone's heart skipped a beat. They quickly waved the weapons in their hands to block it. The defensive equipment that they were wearing was activated to the maximum. Demon-Eyed Earth Emperor and the rest pushed their power to the maximum. Demon-Eyed Earth Emperor even turned into a giant python with thick scales on his body, releasing a cold and gloomy aura. He aimed at the lightning that swept over and spat out a black light pillar to block this terrifying power. Boom! Demon-Eyed Earth Emperor's attack was immediately dispersed. He didn't even have time to react before he was engulfed by the lightning. The moment his consciousness completely disappeared, he was teleported out of the arena. When he appeared in the safe zone, the rescue team immediately came to treat him. They saw that the domineering demon-eyed Earth Emperor had now returned to his real body. His body was already covered with cuts and bruises. Under the sharp lightning, his body was charred black and he almost lost his limbs. It was already quite good that he could withstand the first attack. Then another figure appeared next to him. It was demon-eyed Earth Emperor Yunlei. His domineering god of thunder power was also dispersed by the attack. Now, his body was twitching and a large part of his body was charred black. But his situation was slightly better than demon-eyed Earth Emperor's. Overall, he was still defeated. The first attack had killed them instantly. It didn't even hit them directly. It was just the energy that was released to bombard them. Just this alone was already too much for them to bear. In the blink of an eye, the 2 Earth Emperors who were close to him were defeated. Fire will suppressing the world. 3 flames circled Earth Emperor Qingqing's beautiful eyes. With her extremely fast hand gestures, 3 huge sacred flames appeared around her. At the same time, they quickly turned into 3 huge flaming petals and enveloped her. She didn't need to attack forcefully. It was fine as long as she could withstand these tests. There was no need to break them. Boom, boom, boom. The 5 elements lightning kept bombarding the petals. Under the impact of layer after layer, the petals were quickly worn down and began to wither. The smooth surface of the petals was riddled with holes under the attack. Earth Emperor Qingqing kept making hand seals to quickly repair the petals that were protecting her. She wasn't affected too much. Earth Emperor Taiji's body released a black light that was like a black hole. It frantically devoured the lightning that was coming at him. Devouring as many as came. Such a demonic martial art attracted the attention of many people. There were many cultivators who cultivated evil martial arts, so this wasn't a big deal. There was nothing wrong with cultivating evil martial arts. As long as they were strong enough, they could still be accepted as disciples. Earth Emperor Taegu continued to absorb the power of the lightning in a relatively strong state, but there was a limit to how much he could absorb. He quickly turned into a huge black hole that absorbed the energy and released it, thus achieving the effect of resisting the lightning. Both of them displayed their abilities with their astonishing abilities. Unlike Demon-Eyed Earth Emperor and Demon-Eyed Earth Emperor Yunlei, who were instantly killed. They had already used all their skills. If they couldn't even withstand this, they would really lose. Yi Tianyun didn't fall behind either. Facing the 5 elements lightning that was like a tornado, his eyes released an extreme black light. Evil Demon God set, activate. In the next moment, he turned into a huge evil demon god and, under everyone's astonished gazes, slammed into the ground. Boom! A thick black light shot into the sky and incinerated the lightning in front of him. The lightning that was coming at him was quickly burned. By the time it was about to hit him, only a small part of it was left. Chapter 10:17. Since Tianqing and Earthly Lord had shown their true strength, Yi Tianyun would naturally do the same. The effect of the evil demon god set was completely unleashed. At the same time, he used the ancient desolate suit and the divine dragon bloodline. The power stacked up. The original star power of hundreds of thousands quickly jumped to the star power of 1 million, and it even kept surging towards the star power of 2 million. This was his power. After continuous breakthroughs in his cultivation, his combat ability had improved a lot. Otherwise, it would have been difficult for him to use his powerful strength to resist the violent lightning attacks. As time passed, the lightning that surged over became more and more concentrated. It constantly pierced through the black flames that he released and struck his body. This overbearing lightning only left a faint mark on Yi Tianyun's body after striking him. However, when the surging power of the 5 elements surged into his body, it still caused him considerable damage. This damage was indeed too overbearing. It was not that easy to resist. Looks like I'm still lacking, Yi Tianyun's dark eyes flashed. The celestial divine spear immediately appeared in his huge hand. He swung it forward quickly. Countless black lights intertwined and formed a dense black net, easily defeating the lightning that kept surging over. For a moment, he was also able to resist the attack of the lightning. He was able to resist it just like the other two. When the crowd saw this scene, they were somewhat speechless. Among them, Earth Lord Taegu was the most surprising. Because he had been able to resist it for a long time, and now he was still able to resist it. It had to be said that he had hidden himself really well. These 3 people are really amazing. It would be great if one of them was our disciple. You're thinking too much. These 3 people are probably external help that they hired. Do you think they trained themselves? External help? No way. I remember that the one from the Heavenly Mandate's sacred realm was not external help, right? They all started discussing and expressed their envy for the sacred realm that had such a strong cultivator. If he could stabilize himself, he would undoubtedly pass. Nian Xiu watched this scene. As long as everything was not over, she was extremely nervous. If he passed, then everything would be over and he would directly join the 2nd grade sacred realm. He had never had such an honor before. It was already good enough for him to join a grade 2 god realm, not to mention choosing one as he pleased. Tianyun, you must hold on. Nian Xiu gritted her teeth. Her beautiful eyes were filled with anticipation for Yi Tianyun. If Yi Tianyun could hold on, the Heavenly Mandate Divine Realm would definitely be able to make a comeback. What happened to the other 2 had nothing to do with them. As long as someone joined, their status and rewards would be theirs, and it would have nothing to do with anyone else. When Elder Go Huang and the rest saw the situation, they were very surprised by the performance of these 3 people. This batch of rookies is very strong. To think that they have such abilities. It seems like this isn't their limit yet. Elder Go Huang had a whole new level of respect for them. That's right. This is especially the case for that human. The power that he burst forth with is a little peculiar. I wonder how he managed to cultivate it. However, this human isn't from the God domain. The other 2 were born in the God domain. How could they catch up? Elder Tian Fa was very surprised. There was no need to talk about humans. If they were born in the God domain, they would still have a certain chance of becoming stronger. However, they couldn't understand how Yi Tianyun managed to cultivate to such an amazing level even though he was born in Fanyu. However, the 9th stage is not so easy to pass. Elder Go Huang looked at them and smiled. Everything was not over yet. Rumble. At this time, the power suddenly increased, and it was a level higher than before. The vast thunder and lightning rushed toward them like tens of thousands of horses galloping. Wherever it went, black marks were left on the ground. The power has increased greatly. Yi Tianyun's eyes flashed. He immediately laughed and said, as expected, the 9th stage is not so simple. He kept waving the Tianqin divine spear in his hand. Under the medium-grade reincarnation level weapon, black flames were constantly thrown out, bombarding the thunder and lightning. However, as this went on, they gradually felt the pressure increase. This power was getting stronger and stronger. Every bolt of lightning that struck was like a mountain crashing down on them. The Tianqian divine spear in his hand was a little bent. Earth Lord Tianqian was as overbearing as ever. The 3 petals were still tightly wrapped around him, and he continued to resist the thunder and lightning. Even if the power had increased, he could still withstand it. On the other hand, Earth Lord Taegu was in a worse situation. The black light that emerged from his body had begun to flicker and become extremely unstable. If this continued, he would definitely fail. He would definitely be able to withstand the original power, but now that the power had increased, the difficulty was immediately different. Even if it was only a few tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of points of star power, it was already the limit. With the addition of a little more power, the effect was immediately different. The power has increased. Can you still withstand it? Nian Xiyu and the others' faces darkened. They thought that they could pass smoothly, but it seemed that they were too naive. The power could actually increase, and it was completely different from the previous 8 stages. It could change. Humph. With a low grunt, Earth Lord Taegu was sent flying and disappeared the moment he fell to the ground. Obviously, he couldn't withstand it. This was beyond what he could bear. Are you giving up just like that? Yi Tianyun kept resisting. His body was charred, and his situation wasn't much better. But in his opinion, Earth Lord Taegu still had more power that he hadn't used. There was no doubt that he still chose to hide his power at this moment and didn't use it completely. I guess he has some plans. Yi Tianyun ignored Lord of Heaven Taegu and continued to resist. Even though the power had increased, he wasn't afraid. He also had a critical hit effect. Every 2 attacks would have a critical hit. Under this critical hit effect, the surging lightning was destroyed by his spear, turning into countless light spots and disappearing in the air. Some that weren't destroyed would enter his body and provide him with experience. He was still in a balanced state for a while. As long as his power didn't increase significantly, he could withstand it. In this balanced state, Nian Xiyu and the others' hearts were stuck in their throats. They were extremely worried that the power would continue to increase. As for the 9 region lords, they couldn't wait for the power to continue to increase. Obviously, the power wouldn't continue to increase. As time passed, the power became weaker and weaker. Finally, it ended. Chapter 10:18. The final stage is over. After the cloud layer disappeared, Elder Go Huang officially announced the end of the 2nd stage of the test. All the participants were dumbfounded. The more they watched, the harder it was for them to close their mouths. The surging energy was still blocked. Now, no one dared to laugh at Yi Tianyun. Even if he was not the first, he was at least the second. Standing at the top of hundreds of thousands of geniuses and going through layers of tests, who dared to laugh at him? Bastard! When Demon-Eyed Earth Lord and the others woke up and saw Yi Tianyun standing on the field, they punched the ground hard. They did not expect to be defeated by a human, and they were very unwilling. It was the same for Earth Monarch Cloud Thunder. He was extremely unwilling to accept this, and he was so jealous that he was about to go mad. After all, if they passed the last stage, they could choose any sacred zone to join. What an enviable reward. But the fact was that this was the glory of a king. Earth Lord Tianqing was still calm. The petals wrapped around her disappeared. When she reappeared in front of everyone, she was still so beautiful. There was no injury on her body. Compared with Yi Tianyun, she was really different. After Yi Tianyun recovered, the surface of his body was scorched black. Obviously, he was hurt by the thunder. Of course, it was just a superficial injury, not an internal one. But from the outside, he was indeed a little worse than Earth Lord Tianqing. But he did not care about these things. It was enough that he could pass, regardless of the situation. He used his star power a little, and the scorch on the surface of his body disappeared completely. He looked no different from before. At first, he was a little embarrassed, but at least he passed. He passed, he really passed. Nyen Siu grabbed the Heavenly Mandate Region Lord's arm excitedly and began to shake it. Father, he passed. Region Lord, he really passed. She was so excited that she let it slip. Fortunately, no one noticed what happened on her side, so she did not know what she had said. The Heavenly Mandate Region Lord was also very excited. It meant that Yi Tianyun had joined the second grade sacred zone in such a strong manner. The 9 region lords were so jealous that they were about to go crazy. Why did such a good thing not happen to them, but to the Heavenly Mandate region? Their people still needed to participate in the 3rd round. Whether or not they would be chosen was still unknown. Now that Yi Tianyun had been chosen, it was already a done deal. There would be no change. Congratulations to the 2 of you for successfully passing the 9th stage of the test. Your abilities are very strong, and your potential is even more extraordinary. Only then did Elder Go Huang acknowledge their abilities. He looked at them with a smile and said, "Now, you can choose any of our 5 divine territories. You can join any divine territory you wish." The 5 elders looked at the 2 of them. Both of them were extremely outstanding geniuses. Compared to the geniuses on their side, they were not much weaker. In fact, they were even slightly stronger. If you join our God domain, we guarantee that you'll receive better treatment and a better place to cultivate. No, it's to join our God domain. Our God domain is even vaster, with vast lands and abundant resources. If you join us, we'll focus on grooming you. One by one, the elders started to state their advantages so that they could choose their God domain. However, each of the 5 divine territories was very powerful. Among them, the God domain that Elder Go Huang was at was the strongest among the 5 divine territories. If they had to choose, they would undoubtedly choose Elder Go Huang's God domain. Facing the invitations one after another, the contestants at the side were both jealous and envious. They all wanted to have such treatment. But the opportunity was already placed in front of them. It was just that they did not have the strength to seize it. Everyone's opportunities were the same. It was a pity that their strength was insufficient. It was useless even if they were jealous. This kind of honor was only obtained by 2 people. Among the hundreds of thousands of contestants, only 2 obtained it. The cruel elimination rate was truly shocking. Although there was still the 3rd round, the 2nd round eliminated the majority. It was already a cruel reality in front of everyone. Yi Tianyun swept a glance over the 5 divine territories. As for which to choose, he had not considered it yet. Among the 5 divine territories, he had some understanding before. Among them, Elder Go Huang was undoubtedly the strongest. However, Elder Go Huang's God domain was not particularly good for him. For him, if he wanted to join a divine territory, good resources were not enough. The most important thing was the environment. Whether the environment was friendly or not was the key. For example, when he just arrived, there were all kinds of exclusion and discrimination. There was no atmosphere of unity at all. Joining was simply looking for trouble. However, this kind of treatment was limited to good races. With his current situation, he was afraid that he would continue to be excluded. This junior has not thought about it clearly. I want to complete the 3rd round before making a decision. Heavenly Lord spoke at this time. She did not choose immediately. Instead, she planned to participate in the 3rd round. Everyone was stunned. They did not understand what she meant at all. Elder Go Huang had clearly said that as long as one passed the 9th round, there was no need to participate in the 3rd round. Heavenly Lord, I have said before that there is no need to continue after the 9th round. Elder Go Huang repeated. This junior knows, but I want to participate in the 3rd round to prove my strength. Heavenly Lord smiled slightly. She was beautiful, but in the eyes of many territory lords, she was like a devil. Needless to say, to be able to persist until the 9th round, there was no one who could withstand her attack. Basically, anyone who met her would die. Now, she actually wanted to force a fight. Did she want to drag a bunch of people down from their high horses? The key was that her words were reasonable and no one could refute her. This. Elder Go Huang was stunned. They made this decision mainly because they did not want to break the balance. Those who could endure the 9th round were definitely not weak. Whoever met her would fail. This was simply bullying. Agree with her. It is equivalent to acting according to the previous plan. Elder Heavenly Wrath said. That's fine. This is not a problem. Elder Go Huang nodded and immediately turned to look at Yi Tianyun and asked, what about you? Which territory lord will you choose? Heavenly Lord Earthly Lord could choose to continue, and Yi Tianyun could choose not to participate. There was no relationship between the two. When Yi Tianyun was about to speak, Demon-Eyed Earth Lord suddenly shouted at him, don't leave if you dare, fight with me. Even if you can endure the 9th round, it does not mean that you can do it in other aspects. Yes, don't leave if you dare. Cloud Thunder Earth Lord shouted. He also did not want to watch Yi Tianyun leave. Even if he lost, he would fight with Yi Tianyun. Heavenly Lord Earthly Lord, I think you will stay and fight, right? Heavenly Lord Earthly Lord smiled at him and pointed to the side. Chapter 1019. Heavenly Lord Earth Lord actually knew Yi Tianyun's plan. Did he want to intercept Earth Lord Taegu? Yi Tianyun quickly denied this idea. It was obvious that Heavenly Lord Earth Lord noticed his situation, but he paid more attention to Earth Lord Taegu. Yi Tianyun did pay more attention to Earth Lord Taegu, and he often glanced at Earth Lord Taegu. Yi Tianyun paid more attention to Earth Lord Taegu, and he often glanced at Earth Lord Taegu. Even though he didn't know Earth Lord Taege's situation, he didn't want Earth Lord Taegu to join the 5 major divine realms. Nian Xiu and the others were startled. This was a great opportunity. Why would they choose to continue to the 3rd stage? If they chose Elder Go Huang directly, then they could directly join the 2nd grade divine realm. If he directly chose Elder Go Huang, he would be able to join a grade 2 god realm right away. He wouldn't have to go through all the complicated procedures. Of course, no matter how you perform in the 3rd stage, the result will not change. You can still choose any divine realm you want. Our promise will not change. Elder Go Huang added. You can still choose any god domain you want. Our promise will not change, Elder Go Huang added. That's right. You can still choose any divine realm you want. There won't be any special factors. Elder Go Huang added. Nian Xiu and the others were relieved. If something happens in the 3rd stage, at least the result will not change. Of course, there is a special factor, and that is he died in the 3rd stage. Since he died, he naturally can't join the divine realm. Successfully accepted the side quest, win the 1st place in the divine realm battle to heaven. Reward, 1 trillion EXP, 10 million crazy points, 10 million proficiency points, and 1 divine realm lottery roulette ticket. The appearance of the side quest gave him a feeling that he hadn't felt for a long time. He only had the main quest now, which is to help him break through to 9th grade Earth Lord. Now that there is an additional side quest, it gives him a little reward. It seems that you are very concerned about my situation. Yi Tianyun sent a voice transmission to Heavenly Lord Earth Lord. I just happened to see you. I saw that you are paying attention to Earth Lord Taegu. Of course, I'm also paying close attention to him. I can feel an evil aura from him that makes me feel very uncomfortable. But I'm more interested than fighting with you, Heavenly Lord replied indifferently. Yi Tianyun could see that her eyes were filled with a raging battle intent. She was a warmonger. Could it be that you chose to stay because you want to fight me? Yi Tianyun said helplessly. Don't think too highly of yourself. I'm just a little interested in you. As for my real purpose. Tianqing smiled and said, it's not a good thing for a human like you to know too much. Yi Tianyun's eyes narrowed. These words were truly piercing to the ear. It seemed like in her eyes, he was merely someone who was passing by and wanted to casually strike a blow. First place, he roughly guessed what was going on. Tianqing must have some task or been ordered to come here to win first place. It was very likely that in his heart, he did not want to join any God Realm faction at all. In essence, he was here to seize first place. But why did he do this made him a little curious. This made him look at the God Realm where Tianqing was at, Spirit Heart Realm. When he looked over there, all of them were expressionless, as if they did not feel much about Tianqing's actions. Is he using this Spirit Heart Realm as a springboard to do something? Tianyun began to feel that something was wrong. He followed him to look at the God Realm where Earth Lord Turge was. Although they were excited, they did not seem to be on the same level as Nian Xiu. Nian Xiu and the others were excited enough. As for them, they did not seem to be very happy after obtaining a good result. Either they were threatened or the rewards were not going to go to them. It was useless to be happy. This was just like Murong Xiao. Although Nian Xiu and the others were happy, they would definitely not be as happy as they were for him. After all, Murong Xiao had obtained a good result, but most of the rewards were not going to them. How could they be happy? External help was external help after all. It was just a little bit of face for them. However, the outside world would only see it as external help and would not think that it was cultivated by them. After all, external help could be invited as long as there was money. No matter how he thought about it, he could not think of a reason and felt that something was wrong. But after thinking about it, he did not think too much about it. One thing was certain, Tianqing and Earth Lord Turge did not have any relationship. It was not a cooperative relationship. Just this point was enough for him. There was no need to think too much about it. I will now announce the rewards. Those who pass the 7th stage will be able to choose a mid-grade reincarnation grade treasure. Those who pass the 8th stage will be able to choose a high-grade reincarnation grade treasure. Those who pass the 9th stage will be able to choose any god realm in addition to choosing a high-grade reincarnation grade treasure. At the same time, they will be able to enter heaven pilfering sacred ground to cultivate for a month. Only those who reach the 7th stage would be able to receive rewards. The rewards were very generous. Reincarnation grade treasures seemed to be free. Only 2nd grade god realms could afford them. Heaven pilfering sacred ground, there are rewards from heaven pilfering sacred ground. Heaven pilfering sacred ground, what is this place? You don't even know about heaven pilfering sacred ground? As the name suggests, heaven pilfering sacred ground steals energy from the heavens and allows one to cultivate for a long time. I am not sure about the specifics, but it is a very shocking place. It is a common cultivation ground in the 5 god realms. Even they can only send a few of their disciples to cultivate there. There is such a thing. They started to discuss. Some knew about it, some did not. Heaven pilfering sacred ground, it sounds a bit strange. Tianyun shook his head. It seemed that the rewards were not small. He would be able to get another high-grade reincarnation grade treasure later. Previously, he had to risk his life to get high-grade reincarnation grade treasures. But here, he was giving them away as if they were free. Immediately after, the temple was summoned again. They all rushed in to get their rewards. Tianyun also followed in. The moment he entered, he saw Earth Lord Demon Eye standing at the door, obviously waiting for him to come in. You have some strength, but don't think that you can win the battlefield just because you passed the 9th stage. Earth Lord Demon Eye sneered. It seems that you know the content of the 3rd stage. Tianyun said indifferently. Of course I know. The content that will never change is the battle. Earth Lord Demon Eye sneered. There are many changes on the battlefield. This can show one's strength. Being attacked continuously is not a skill. Chapter 10-20. Tianyun felt that Earth Lord Demon Eye's words were hilarious. He was least afraid of this kind of battle. He felt that he would not lose to anyone in terms of battle experience. Even though his bone age was relatively low, he fought his way up from the bottom of the three realms. He had been through actual battles all along the way, and there was never any sparring to speak of. It was a life and death battle the moment he stepped onto the stage, and there was no chance to surrender. That's right, a battle. Earth Lord Demon Eyes Snake eyes flickered with cold murderous intent. This is the stage of a true genius. Only being able to endure and take a beating is not a skill. By then, you will be like a target in front of me, and I can squash you at will. Is that so? I am looking forward to it. I have always hoped that someone could squash me. Yi Tianyun smiled and walked inside. He could not be bothered with him anymore. Earth Lord Demon Eyes' eyes were cold as he stared at Yi Futian's back. He flicked out his snake tongue and looked completely like a human-shaped snake. He had the bloodline of a snake, and it was not an ordinary bloodline. He was good at using poison. Many things could only be used in a battle. For example, no matter how terrifying the poison was, it was useless in the second stage. It could not possibly poison the divine lightning to death, right? They were not good at some things, but they would not lose to anyone in a battle. To them, a battle was the place to prove themselves. After all, no matter how powerful a genius was, if he died in their hands, he would not be a genius, but a fool. As soon as Yi Tianyun entered, Murong Xiao patted his shoulder and said in surprise, "Big brother Tianyun, you are too amazing. You even made it through the 9th stage. There are only 2 people who can make it to the 9th stage." Luck, luck. Yi Tianyun smiled. Luck my ass. Why don't I have this luck? Murong Xiao curled his lips. Now, I can obtain another superior grade reincarnation grade treasure. I am so envious. Is that so? I think it's okay. Immediately after, Ling Yunfeng also came over to congratulate Yi Tianyun, expressing his admiration for Yi Tianyun. Being able to endure the 9th stage, how could he be weak? After saying a few words to them, he did not choose any weapon. Instead, he chose a high-grade reincarnation grade Dharma treasure. As for weapons, he did not have much feelings for them. Treasures were still his priority. After all of them had made their selections, the Temple of Light was recruited back. At this moment, the atmosphere gradually became oppressive. Many people's gazes were fixed on Yi Tianyun. If they could defeat Yi Tianyun, it would undoubtedly increase their bargaining chips. If they could defeat Yi Tianyun, who had survived the 9th stage, they would definitely be able to achieve meteoric success. As for Tianqing and Earthly Lord, they did not dare to think too much. Yi Tianyun seemed a little easier to deal with. Tianqing and Di Jun faced the 9th stage of the test as easily as drinking water. There was no pressure at all. Yi Tianyun felt the gazes around him, but he did not care at all. Elder Go Huang glanced at the crowd. The 5 great elders had discussed with each other before, and their eyes were a bit mischievous, as if they were plotting something. After the discussion of the 5 great elders, the 3rd stage is a competition. This has always been the same process. The point is that this time there are 2 more contestants who have survived the 9th stage. If any of you fight against them and defeat one of them, you can also choose any deity realm to join, and you will be rewarded by stealing from heaven and earth. When Elder Go Huang announced this, the remaining more than 100 contestants were immediately in an uproar. Their gazes once again focused on Yi Tianyun and Tianqing and Earthly Lord. Among them, there were more gazes gathered on Yi Tianyun. They felt that Yi Tianyun was easier to deal with. God is on my side. If I defeat him, I can prove my strength. Demon-eyed Earthly Lord's eyes turned cold. He felt that this was an opportunity. He was not the only one who thought so. Even Yuan Tianyu thought so. They were all thinking about how to plot against Yi Tianyun. In a competition, any attack was not too much. As long as it could defeat the opponent, it would be the best move. It seems that you have become popular. Everyone wants to defeat you. Murong Xiao teased him from the side, Brother Tianyun, if you meet me in the future, please let me go and admit defeat. In this way, I can easily join the 5 great divine realms. If you meet me, I will definitely let you go. Tianyun smiled. You said it yourself. If you ever meet me, remember to surrender immediately. Murong Xiao said with a smile. No problem. Tianyun smiled. He knew that these old and cunning elders would not make such an arrangement. Next, let's arrange your next opponents. Elder Go Huang waved his hand. More than 150 rays of light descended from the sky and landed in their hands. Each of them had a token with the corresponding number engraved on it. Your opponents are the same number as the number on your token. Elder Go Huang explained. Tianyun looked at the token in his hand. The number 59 foot was written on it. At the same time, he sensed something. When he looked up, his opponent was very familiar, Yu Qingling. He did not expect that his first opponent would be Yu Qingling, the representative of the Fire Jade God realm. Yu Qingling also looked over. Her beautiful eyes revealed a hint of pleasant surprise, but there was even more determination. She felt that her chance had come. Young Master Tianyun, if you admit defeat, I will be at your disposal. I will do whatever you want me to do. I can serve you for 1,000 years. In 1,000 years, I will do whatever you want. Her beautiful eyes revealed a hint of temptation, tempting him with the simplest and crudest conditions. Serve me for 1,000 years. Tianyun smiled. That's right. If young Master Tianyun is still not satisfied, you can continue to increase the time. During this time, you can do whatever you want to me. Her enchanting eyes seemed to be dripping water. They looked extremely alluring. No, it seems like you misunderstood me. I just said that 1,000 years is too long. I feel like I'm going to vomit if you serve me for a day. Tianyun looked at her coldly and transmitted his voice, if I keep you by my side for 1,000 years, I probably won't even need to cultivate anymore. Serve whoever you want to serve. Don't look at me with those disgusting eyes. Yu Qingling trembled with anger. She had already gone all out. She had already paid a huge price to lock herself by a person's side for 1,000 years. Who knew that Tianyun would not buy it? Instead, he felt that she was disgusting. How could someone as beautiful as her endure this? Chapter 10:21. After knowing their opponents, they all came to the fighting ring and were ready to start. I drew Lord Qingtian. One of the opponent's legs were trembling. He really did not expect that his opponent would be Lord Qingtian. This was a situation of certain death. The others looked at him with sympathetic gazes. Who would have thought that they would get Heaven Atlas? Everyone prayed in their hearts that they would not meet Heaven Atlas or Tianyun. Some of the contestants knew their limits and naturally did not dare to go against Tianyun. If he were to face them head-on, he would definitely die. Buzz! At this time, the shield began to rise and wrapped around the contestants. As the arena was very large, it was not a problem to divide it into more than 70 areas. Moreover, it was very spacious. If you want to admit defeat, you must escape from the battle area. If you are sent flying or escape on your own, you will be eliminated. Elder Go Huang explained the general rules of the duel. During the duel, no matter what kind of move, weapon, or method you use, there is no taboo at all. All you need to do is to win the duel. This rule was like a demon in their hearts, filling their hearts. Especially since no matter what method they used, as long as they could win, they would be the king. The last point is about the reward. Those who can get into the top 10 will definitely be able to join our 5 major divine realms. Of course, we chose you, not the other way around. Elder Go Huang said in a deep voice. Within the top 20, there is at least a 50% chance that we will choose you. Of course, no matter what the final ranking is, you will receive a certain reward. As for the reward, it will depend on your final performance. Now, the battle officially begins. With Elder Go Huang's announcement, the battle officially began. Every divine realm paid attention to the situation of the contestants they sent out. Some of the contestants sent out by the divine realms had all failed. This meant that they could only sit here and watch the battle. This was undoubtedly the most pitiful. Others won the honor, but they could only watch and envy. I'm sorry, but your Fire Jade God Realm's representative is now facing our representative. It's only the first round, and you're going to be eliminated. What a pity. The Heavenly Mandate Region Lord was extremely pleased and couldn't help but mock the Fire Jade Dominion. Previously, he had been ridiculed by them. Now, he could finally slap them in the face. The battle isn't over yet. Nothing has been decided yet. Heavenly Mandate Region Master, it is better not to be too full of yourself about some things. Your people have performed well before, but if they are not up to standard, they will be very powerful in the competition. The Fire Jade Region Master naturally would not admit defeat. He had to stiffen his neck and retort. Is that so? Some things are already destined. The Heavenly Mandate Region Lord laughed out loud. Their faces became more and more gloomy. Sure enough, they had to pay for what they had done. In the arena, Yi Tianyun was facing Yu Qingling, a woman that he had detested before. She had used the art of charm to charm so many people to her side. Most importantly, she wanted to charm him and make him one of her supporters. Charm space-time. Yu Qingling was not long-winded at all. This was just the beginning. Her eyes instantly released a 5-colored light. The essence blood in her body was instantly ignited, and all of it was added to her eyes. In addition, she took out a few elixirs and stuffed them into her mouth. This elixir was not a violent elixir, but a kind of charm divine elixir, which could greatly enhance the effect of her charm. Obviously, she wanted to fully activate her charm power and take down Yi Tianyun. She was really going all out. She burned all kinds of essence blood and took all kinds of elixirs. In her hand was a middle-grade reincarnation-grade treasure. When she threw it out, the air was shrouded in 5-colored light. In an instant, this space began to be filled with charm, shrouding every corner. You forced me to do all of this. Open it all. Yu Qingling screamed and threw out all of her trump cards. Soon, the scene in front of Yi Tianyun began to change. Countless beautiful women constantly surrounded him. No matter what kind of women he liked, they were all now in front of him. Not only were there beautiful women, but there were also countless treasures piled up like a mountain and placed on the side. In the blink of an eye, Yi Tianyun entered a special space. That was the charm space-time. It could completely release one's inner desires and present the things they liked the most. Fall into your greediest dream. You can die in your own dream. Yu Qingling saw that Yi Tianyun was standing there motionlessly. She knew that Yi Tianyun had already fallen into her charm. She believed that the more ambitious one was, the easier it was to fall into her charm. Even a super expert would fall into her charm when she used all of her strength. Oh no, Yi Tianyun's cultivation is breaking through too quickly. Will his foundation be unstable? What Nian Xiaoyu and the others were worried about had come. If his foundation was unstable, it would be easy for him to go berserk and fall into the other party's charm. They could see that Yu Qingling was going all out and had used all of her trump cards. Even if the Lord of Heaven encountered her, he would fall into this predicament. His cultivation is breaking through very quickly. Maybe he really fell for it, their hearts sank. If Yi Tianyun fell for it, he would be at her mercy. Especially since Yu Qingling was going all out. If they were in her shoes, they would do the same. Elder Go Huang had said that as long as he defeated one of them, he could join the 5 divine realms unconditionally. In that case, if he defeated them, it didn't matter anymore. Why would he need to hide his strength? He could just reveal it. Ha, that kid must have fallen for it. So what if his talent is good? Yu Qingling has a natural charm body. As long as the difference in cultivation is not too big, she can successfully charm someone. Especially if she uses all of her strength, this kid will definitely die. The Fire Jade Region Master laughed loudly. He felt that Yi Tianyun would definitely lose. As long as Yi Tianyun lost, they would be the winners. The Heavenly Mandate Region Master and the others were worried. Were they really doomed? Let me see what your inner world is like. Yu Qingling walked over step by step. Her eyes were releasing colorful light. She had been releasing her power to the maximum. If she didn't do that, she was worried that she wouldn't be able to control Yi Tianyun. She had to be cautious. She really wanted to stab Yi Tianyun's neck. However, she couldn't do that. Once she did that, her cultivation would definitely collapse. She could only move step by step. You're tuning into the Blissful Bookshelf YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.